Good morning and welcome to today's live show. A lot of people were messaging me. I made sure to put out a video last night, even though I didn't have a lot of time. I made sure to update Patreon, even though I didn't have much time. So I'm sorry if it was a little bit jumbled together and maybe not the best video in the world. But the point that was getting across was this is exactly what we were kind of planning for. We're looking for this to come down. Hey, if it's going to get worse, we're going to see it get worse. But as of right now, you're just seeing something crazy for the day. This is, as of right now, still priced in for the week and the month. So we need to pay attention to, hey, this gap down, we were aware that a big gap was coming. And if we really read into tariffs, we were going, okay, if he just puts out a tariff, there most likely would be. I think a lot of people were banking on him just like walking away from it. But this is very likely to still be a bear trap with the levels that we are at right now. So we'll be paying attention to it. It can get worse, and we'll pay attention to the fact that it can get worse. But having a level head about it is a much better place to be at this time. So we are seeing some nice downward moves. Looking for the daily divergences to solidify. We have not gotten confirmation of those yet, but we're looking for that confirmation and looking for any hints in between. We could have some time down at these lower levels before we're able to base out, or we could start to just create an hourly divergence and turn in the upward direction, weirdly enough. I do suspect some bearish price action in the morning. I do expect something like that, just because I think we need to see, like, they want retail to really get bearish. I mean, if this is going to be some kind of bear trap, then I assume they would leave it at lower levels to therefore make you think like, yes, this is going down, or even bounce it up and then rip it down again. So something weirdly enough that we'll look for now, it might have to be a 30-minute divergence or some kind of divergence in the futures market. So I'm going to have the futures. I'm going to keep poking over and looking at those throughout our time live today. And looking at the 2-hour chart, I see divergence right now for the 2-hour chart here, which is our 30-minute chart actually in the futures market, right? We open up the time frames there. So even though everything looks really bad, I want you to go pull up a 2-hour over here, and you can really see, hey, if this thing wants to, it doesn't have to do this, right? This has not confirmed. This can get worse, right? This can obviously get worse, but if we wanted to at any time, maybe come up and create that divergence, turn up on this 2-hour chart in the futures market, hey, that might be a good thing. Alrighty. I went short right before, now I'm up almost 900. Hey, that's great, Brian. Congratulations, especially if you decided to hedge or something like that going into the event. That's a very good idea. Very good stuff. I like it a lot. Yeah. Now, what have you been? The thing is, I want to ask, what have you guys been researching, right? What's been your research since you got that data? Because what I've been doing is researching semiconductor companies that actually have better exposure to America, who could produce things here at home easier. That's what I've been doing. I don't know about you guys, but that's overall what I've been doing. Who would have the easiest access to start production or make more production in the US, and who has the biggest revenue coming from the US? And that's what I was doing throughout the morning. Wolfie Boy? Oh no, Wolfie Boy probably looks like Oh, yeah, he's kind of holding up. Man, what a... Well, damn. Still people holding on to that thing. Amazon's kind of gone down there, right? And then Nvidia, still remember we're looking for that 100 level, actually. I really should probably pull this down. I probably should pull this down to at least like 100. I'm just going to pull it down to that 100 price point. We can chop that pretty easily. I'm going to hold it at this low, though. But know that 100 is very, very possible. Let's see here. What was the other one I want to look at? Oh, Apple was the big one. Apple was the big one that gave up the most. Apple's going to be in a lot of trouble, most likely, with this. Now, it can still turn around. We can see crazy things, but I'm not going to bet on Apple. So if you know about Apple, it's like, where is most of Apple's production? They probably could start production here relatively quickly to catch up. But overall, like, I think Apple's going to be huge exposure to those. Tesla actually holding up really well. I think it got good news. Like, maybe people reading into the fact that I think they announced possibly Elon Musk is actually coming back to work at the company, like not doing the government stuff anymore. The worrisome thing, volatility, right? Volatility. But I want you to look at this hourly chart or 2-hour chart. What do you see right now? You know, if this wanted to base out today, I don't know if it would happen today, right? I want to see how this shapes up. But if it just based out right away here in the morning in the next 2 hours, you do have the signals that say that this daily should actually cross back down pretty quickly. Now, This could still do something like this, where it's more likely probably to do that at this point. So I'm not reading into this too heavily. I want to see like the 30-minute signal in here that's going to tell me this is crossing down. So it's very likely for us to see like a little thing like that, and then we'll have a hint. So we'll be looking for those hints from volatility. Oh, if you need daily expected moves, yes, those are actually the daily expected moves. So the funny thing about this is usually when something like this happens, guys, by the way, usually when something like this happens, you don't see ranges like this. So weirdly enough, people were prepared for this. This means that a lot of people are going to make money today. But the question is, if it bounces, are they going to continue to make money? You know, if it keeps dropping, are these people going to continue to hold on to those contracts, right? Those kind of things are happening here. But I want you to notice, usually, and I'll do this real quick, usually when you're going to get some kind of news that is unexpected or surprising, you'll see a range like this, really, really small, no one expecting anything. But the fact that everyone was expecting this big volatility, it's even more than they expected. That's one. But if you start going to standard deviation, aka if you go outside of these weekly expected moves and go touch that monthly, pretty much you have a huge percentage chance to jump back up. But we don't necessarily want to violate weekly expected moves here for the SPY. We want the Qs to do it. We want the Qs to go all the way down to their weekly expected move. We would like to see this get a little more aggressive, I think, for the Qs. Go down to lower levels, really. And I just think it would be ironic. Now, I'm aware that things can get worse, but I'm just suggesting there's probably going to be some kind of bounce, at least a little lackluster one, before we're able to actually crash down below a monthly expected move, because this was expected. There's going to be profit takers. There's going to be all kinds of stuff happening today. It's going to be a wild one. Hourly charts are probably going to be the thing that we're going to watch. Do you think we're going into recession? That depends. Do you think recessions happen? Are you talking about a recession proven in the stock market? Are you talking about a recession proven in the GDP? Are you talking about the actual recession of how people spend money? Because you're pretty much on the verge. You're pretty much there. You've been there for a little bit, right? Once everyone starts to put everything on credit, and credit card debt starts to max up, and defaults start to increase, which is happening, and mortgage defaults start happening and things like that, that's when you start to pay attention and you go, oh, we've probably been in a recession. We're just being supplemented by debt. And now that the debt is getting high enough, that's why people are potentially talking about a bubble to pop, right? Yeah, I think Bernie's kind of like just simply putting like we're kind of in one, you know. As far as your everyday life, you've kind of been in one, right? You're feeling I mean, at least unless you're pretty rich, right? People who don't suffer when that inflationary period hits and then inflation sticks around for a long time, and things are a little crazy. Most of the time, it's like rich people they actually make more money. Why? Because of the stock market. So it's just interesting, but you've most likely in that case been in it, but you're still probably waiting for the actual market. I know you're trading, so you're probably waiting for the actual like stock market or GDP to tell you we're in it. But I would just not really pay attention to what people say about GDP, because remember the last time we got 2 negative readings of GDP, they just changed the definition the next day. I want to be rich again, Lucas, please. I wish you the best. I really, really do. Hell yeah, Kalani. Hell yeah. That's so awesome. That's part our boy Lucas. Have you discussed the rumored Amazon acquisition? Apparently it's already like I think it's starting to look more than a rumor, Wall Street Ponzi. That's why I'm thinking about, Amazon. This is what I'm thinking about scaling in again too. So maybe I should change my title to I'm feeling bullish. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll change it just to be like kind of douchey. Let's do that. Let's do. I'm feeling bullish. Let's do some dots. Right, get that emotion in there. I'm feeling bullish. Something like that. Yeah, we'll go with I'm feeling bullish. There you go. It just doesn't scare me yet. If it starts to scare me, that's a different story, right? All right, we're opening up. Let's go back over to the SPY. Look at this hourly chart. I'm going to keep my eye on futures for you guys. Futures here. I'm going to look at this 30-minute. We've got potential there. Update. What? Yeah. What? I don't know what the pricing. I mean, okay, fine. I guess. What about this one? Not that bad. Really thought things would be getting real cheap to the call side, but things are holding up not too terribly. Really? Huge spread. Huh. Interesting. Wow. Oh, wow. Now look at some other stuff here. Are we really just gonna start moving up right now? Okay, crazy. Oh man. Oh man, things are. I think a lot of people are looking at their. I think a lot of people are looking at their stocks right now. I'll just put it that way. That's pretty wild. Oh yeah, things are. Things are. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Things are interesting. All right, sorry about that. Let me pull up chat. I need to make sure moves are being made. Sorry if I missed chat for a little bit. Yeah, it happens. It happens pretty often, Aaron. I totally get it. No way it's gonna be up today. No way. I know, but I'm just looking at futures and going, man, there's kind of a divergence there. Now, I think it could easily drop lower, but if you pull up a 2 hour over here, you're just going, is that really like what? Are we really doing this? Are we really doing this? Are we gonna do this? And then the 30-minute, you're like, is that a rejection divergence? Right. Is the 2 hour going to curl up from that? I think you would want, I think there would more so be, more selling coming in. Right. I thought we might go, oh, I guess I didn't need to do that, but I thought we might go like make a move past this low for just a brief moment. But not happening yet. Q's kind of going down into those levels. I thought the Q's would get to their weekly expected move. I still think they potentially will. Oh, sorry, hourly chart. My bad, guys. Oh no, this is gonna be. I think everyone's using TradingView right now. I think everyone who has a TradingView account is on TradingView right now. JP Morgan went down to a weekly expected move, starting to wick up. Let me click through some of these. See, Apple, I'd be paying attention. Patreon members, I'd be paying attention to Apple. Apple, I think, will be a sketchy one because, I mean, all their phones produced somewhere else. Amazon, outside of a weekly. NVIDIA holding up really well. NVIDIA's not doing anything crazy for the week yet, right? It can. AMD filled the gap. Has one more gap to fill at like 96.65-ish. Meta dipping down to lower levels as well. Looks like outside of a weekly, we can see where that's going to go. Microsoft might have more selling to come, not necessarily seeing anything surprising just yet. Google might have more selling to come, not very surprising yet. AMC actually went down to the weekly move and bounced. GME is not down at any kind of expected move. DJT is down by the expected move. I'm just letting you guys know, so you know where we're at with those percentages. I think it's important. I know Patreon members, we gave out that video yesterday just to talk about the tariffs. Hey, GLD, wait, where's Richard? Wait, where's Richard? Oh, Richard literally just said GLD. Cough. GLD, did you see that? Numbers still matter even in panic. That's right, Polish. Percentages still matter. If we were going to crash now, hey, that's fine. But, you know, they've built liquidity. They literally have built liquidity here for so long that you could see like a 10% bounce that then curls back down, right? Get them baited into, hey, this isn't that bad. And then, bam. Now, I don't think it's that bad. I actually like the tariffs. I think it was very nice of him to do that. I think it was a very kind thing. I think the percentages I saw were all very kind. I just can't wait. I'm just staring at this over here too, by the way. Staring at that PCC, just like, open up, man. Open up. Yeah, Tesla's holding up pretty well, but Tesla got some interesting news. Is PCE holding up? What about that SPCE? Someone was really looking at that. Yeah, that thing's holding up pretty well. Wicking out at the low. And then, don't we get data? We get data at 9 a.m. ISM services PMI. Tomorrow's data will be interesting. The consensus on tomorrow's data went down from yesterday. They both were 4.2 for consensus, 4.2 for the forecast. And this just came down. Interesting. Within 24 hours, it was reassessed. And then Fed Jerome Powell tomorrow as well. But we do get data in about 20 minutes. Are semis affected by tariffs? Yes. If you want to see some research that I was doing this morning, I had them compare. So if you guys want me to read some stuff off about some semiconductors, I think it's not a terrible thing. We can see here. So US revenue comparison is what I overall did. I said I want a US revenue comparison because I want to see who could actually still make money from the US consumer-wise, but who could also be producing here consumer-wise. So Broadcom in 2023, US revenue was $6.98 billion. That was 19.5% of the $35.82 billion total. 2024, total revenue of $51.57 billion. And the assuming a similar portion to that, adjusted for growth, the U.S. revenue is likely exceeding $10 billion. So you still see that Broadcom has exposure to the U.S., which is a good thing. It would really encourage them at a 20%. It would really encourage you to do production here, which is a good thing. We still have to see if they actually make those kinds of moves. That's the big thing. Qualcomm 2023, 23% of its $35 billion in revenue from 2023 came from the U.S., about 8.2. So you see how that's just slightly higher than Broadcom. Okay, so they are really dependent on revenue, at least at a little bit higher rate at 23% to the US in 2024, 38.6 billion. Now, 38.6 billion. I did want to talk about this for Qualcomm because right away, Broadcom 35.82 billion increased to 51.57 billion. Qualcomm though only 35.8 a year later, 38.6. That's only an increase of 3 billion total for all their revenue, which is a little bit worrisome to me. This could rise to 8.9 billion. But this is big about Qualcomm. Much of its revenue is tied to Chinese OEMs, 47%. So Qualcomm will have more exposure to China tariffs, is how I'm overall reading into it. NVIDIA, I'm sure people want to know about NVIDIA. So US revenue is significant due to its data center dominance. Sales to hyperscales like AWS, Google. So in fiscal year of 2024, I think January of 2024, 44% of the 26.9 billion was from the US. Okay, so that's a bigger exposure to the US. So big exposure to the US, and they have data centers here. NVIDIA could be something that actually is able to start production or produce better here a little bit quicker. So we'll see if that's going to take place. 2025 projected to be 96 billion. US revenue could hit 40 billion plus in 2025. So they would very likely want to come do production here in the States at 44%. Intel, let's talk about Intel. As a US based company, a large share of its revenue is domestic. In 2023, 27% of the 54.2 billion, $14.6 billion that is, was from the US. For 2024, 55.2. Once again, that increase is very small, so I don't like that. I like that Broadcom at least had an increase in revenue there. This might be about 15 billion in 2024, though its client computing segment, PCs, is more global. Analog devices in fiscal year 2023, 34% of the 12.3 billion, low numbers, but hey, maybe investments at lower levels, who knows? But I believe I looked at this and it's already still elevated, but was from the US fiscal year 2024, 9.5 billion. This could drop to 3.2 billion due to declining industrial demand. So this will be interesting. And then production, I have some stuff on production over here, but pretty much it's giving you like, hey, if you think about it logically, it's like, well, if I'm doing everything abroad and then all that manufacturing abroad starts to get tariffed to where my price would increase to where the United States, aka 20 to sometimes 44% of some of these companies' exposure to revenue is in the United States, well, then I would want to produce in the United States to be able to withstand that and get rid of that. I don't necessarily want to do things in China if that's the big percentage. But some companies have bigger percentages in China, so it'll be an interesting thing. We might just see production facilities in China. We might see production facilities also in the US for some of these companies. But the big thing is, do they start to produce here? I think that's the overall take that I was trying to get at. Those moves would take years, though. Yeah, but people price it in before, Remy. Like the stock market works that way. So why were we dropping? Why were we dropping this entire time? Like from right here, we were dropping because of all the tariff talk, right? This is the tariff tantrum, the Trump tariff tantrum, the Trump tariff correction, the Trump tariff crash. Okay, we were already coming down, and then we're at lower levels, and it might already be priced in because it's not as bad as it could have been. It wasn't one-for-one reciprocal. Okay, this is something we talked about on Patreon very thoroughly, just to make sure people were having a level head coming into today. Still, I know this can really make people, one way or another. That's fine. I get it. It makes total sense. But overall, it's just we usually price things in. Okay, so is this already priced in now? And that's what I'm talking about, Remy. Once we actually get the news, it could be a sell the fact, right? We could price all of that in and then they announce we have completed our production facility and then we sell off. Apple is going to be risky as hell. Apple is, we can also ask around. We can probably go look. I don't know, wrong thing. Um, let's see. Let's see if it gives me a good article or something as far as Apple goes, because Apple is going to be rough. Apple's going to be rough, but there is one thing going on here with Apple. If you're part of Patreon and you notice this daily still holding a divergence point, so I don't think it all has to be over for Apple. Apple could easily probably produce something here, but we'll see. Let me read some of this. Okay, here's a big thing. So, see, this is why Apple's kind of a red flag, but they could change. Apple does not own large scale manufacturing facilities for its core products, iPhones, iPads, Macs, in the US. Most production is outsourced to contract manufacturers like Foxconn, Pegatron, and Wistron. Estimated US share less than 5%. So I just listed off all those other semiconductors, and they were all at least around that, 15 to even 44% range, right? They were all in that area. I think it was 15 to 50%. So it's a bigger exposure there to at least the United States as far as revenue goes. Apple has an extreme amount of revenue that comes from the United States. Apple has an extreme amount of revenue that comes from the United States, but they only have 5% total production here. That's a big deal because Apple's a massive company that's a massive consumer driven company. So that's going to be a big deal. That's going to be pretty insane, to be totally honest. Now, since 2023, Apple has assembled some Mac Pro units in Austin, Texas, but this is a niche, high-end product with low volume compared to iPhones or iPads. So what you're looking for from Apple is them to say, hey, we're going to come home and produce our iPhones and iPads here in the United States, right? We're going to build production facilities to produce iPads and iPhones in the United States. That's the announcement that you really want to hear. Do you get that announcement? This is going to take time. And that's why I do like that in the chat. People are like, hey, this will take time. But if you really understand it and they stick around and you get production to come back to the States, it's actually very good for future generations to do these tariffs. And they are not one for one, so they are very lenient. Very lenient. Like I said, the apple tree, right? If me and my neighbor both have apple trees and we're trading them back and forth because you have green and I have red and I charge you a 30% tariff and you let that go for years and then finally you go, why am I even doing this? Like my apples are just as good as yours, they're just a different kind. You have the same demand for my apples as the other apples. So what's going on here? And then what happens? Oh, okay. So now we go back and we go, okay, we're going to do a reciprocal tariff. Everyone loses their mind, the stock market's going to crash, and then you just say, oh, but that tariff's only going to be 15%. That's very, very nice if your neighbor was charging you 30% and you only charge 15. So but it's very dependent on your production, on your product, on your quality and things like that as well. So there are more things to it, but that's more of a simple example. So Nvidia would have a better chance. Apple would be a more surprising thing, right? So as of right now, you would say it would be a lower percentage thing for Apple to be able to do. But they do probably have access to a lot of things to turn them into production facilities very quickly, right? Apple is a very big company and it's been in the United States for a long time, but it's been outsourcing for a very, very long time. But a good example is they could turn their Austin facility that works on those niche products into a quick little iPhone and iPad manufacturing plant instead of doing those niche MacBooks. And then, boom, that would be the news that would be very unexpected. So, would it be a lower percentage? Yes. The risk to reward on it could be insane if they actually did it, right? You're talking maybe just use the percentage that was randomly there, like 5% compared to a 15% or something. They will most likely have to do it, just so you're aware. Apple will most likely have to do it. Yeah, that they most likely will have to do it at this point. Are you feeling bullish? Kinda. Kinda. But yeah, Apple is going to have serious exposure to this. But if they did something, it would be very, very surprising. And by surprising, I mean unexpected. And by unexpected, I mean that would be pretty wild to see. I'm going to keep it on the 30-minute chart here. Um, We go look at the dollar real quick because, you know, you'd never want the dollar just to be screaming down, down, down. We can look at this from a daily perspective right now, and it is screaming down, down, down. It's not, that's not what you want to see, right? See what happens. It can get worse. PCC coming out at about actually came out at about 1.15, 1.16. Right now sitting at about 1.08. Where's the guy I'm looking for? I'm looking for this guy. Tesla got a real good bar. Tesla, not bad, right? Tesla is very interesting because it kind of got semi kind of news with this. And so if you're saying this is an absolute reason to crash, then really I don't think Tesla should be able to hold up at all. Now, this could all just to be go fill the gap, right? We talked about those fun gap names, right? Gap, fill, and crash. I don't know. Oh yeah, I do, Rajiv, have those daily moves for the SP1. Actually, I should put those in the bottom right corner. They're massive. We're outside of them. I'll put them in the bottom right corner because they're insane. I've never seen ranges this big. I did kind of wait for that news to drop to see if the IV would change. But once the IV changed, I just took that implied volatility, which is really cool to see because we're gapping like right towards it. So people did have this priced in kind of going into the morning. The IV, it didn't increase dramatically. People already priced it in kind of yesterday. So people were betting big up and big down yesterday. I think more so you would say people were betting probably down. Let me get that on there real quick for you so you can see it in the bottom right. I just got to update the photo. But huge moves. I don't like to sit there and like, I wouldn't watch, you know, the implied volatility all night, but I will let it get its little bit of reaction, then boom, take that just to give us the general area of where we'd expect that first reaction. It's not there yet. I think more so I'm paying attention. I want the Qs to get there. Actually, Qs are going back in their daily expected move. What the heck? Never seen a range so big. Tony, I feel like that's like, man, that girl got a big range. You're welcome, Rajiv. I'll put it in the bottom right for you. Surprised Meta is being impacted like this. Well, and that's why I didn't research Meta, but you'd want to still look into how exposed it would be. That's why I think Apple is so bad. That's why I think the reaction is so bad. But all they have to do is come out and be like, we are making, all they have to do is this. Like, this is what I'm talking about, Remy. All they have to do is go, hey, we're actually going to, we're going to make production facilities in the United States. And boom, they don't even have to make the production facility. It's like Tesla, when Tesla every year for the last 3 years has said, we are going to make an affordable EV. And then this year they actually say, we're going to make an affordable EV. The things we're thinking about doing to take them out is make it fully automated. Therefore, you can take out the pedals and the steering wheel to make it significantly cheaper. I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit more. Bitcoin is saying buy the dip. Let's see, dude. I mean, that's there. I mean, 2 hour high or low, anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Maybe. I don't know. That 30-minute, I don't like 30 minutes on I really don't like 30 minutes on Bitcoin. Because that's not even a look right now. So probably just seeing if that 2 hour can turn back up. We haven't even violated the low yet, but we could have a lot more time here. Weird to see a wick there, though, I would say. I thought it was going to be Black, what is it, Thursday or something? Black Thursday? Four hour looks better. Okay, let me go look. You're right. I should check all those. Charts there. Yeah, 4 hour looks better, but it also, in a way, could look worse, right? To some people, this could look worse because the 4 hour is curling down into negative territory and you didn't necessarily see great positivity. So this still has, I would say a less percentage to go down and tut the low, but still something very much so to be aware of. When your MACD is in that middle area, that's kind of where you're like, okay, right? We talk about the actual MACD, the blue line. Once you go positive and you're still kind of in that area where it's like, ooh, sketchy things can happen. Even right over here is potentially the top side of that area. But right here, you're just like, okay, this can be a bigger drop, but this can also just be a pullback. So if I see the 2-hour turn up, then I will say this is most likely a pullback, an aggressive pullback. You crack me up. Thanks, Bernie. I try. My wife's reading the book that I just read, and she's going nuts. I like investigative books, I'm learning. I like thrillers. I think I'm going to read The Zodiac. I love it when Bitcoin dumps. See, Aaron, you seem calm. I like it. Is there data today? Yes. In 5 minutes, we will get, I believe it's the PMI. Or, I'm sorry, wait. Yeah, services PMI, which is supposed to come in at previous 53.5, 53, 53. So expected at 53, but the previous was slightly up from that. Imagine they're just like, but the PMI is good. That's the reason we'll go up. But the PMI is good. Like, that's the reason. That's happened before. Yeah, polish. I don't want to do too much research like live. That's why I tried to do it this morning on at least some semiconductors. But you can look into it. All you have to do is go, look at their, maybe even just ask a good AI that you trust that'll actually go pull good data and just be like, hey, what was the revenue that Google had from the United States in 2024? And then you find out what that revenue percentage is. And you go, okay, so there's some big exposure there. They would need to make production here. And then you just ask, hey, what is the production that Google does in the States? And then you can get that percentage. And then you can kind of get an idea of like, oh, is Google in a good spot or a bad spot? Does Google need to make a move, not make a move? Where's my check, Doge? Man, maybe the SPY goes down, the Q's down, but man, Q's are actually holding up relatively well. I'm not going to read into the MACD still being positive. You ain't going to hear me read into that too much. But I will read into if this RSI holds that. I think the RSI will be really important. Pull it up while you... Oh, sorry, I might have been talking. Oh, Polish. I'm sorry about that, Polish. I thought you were like polishing missiles, like you were some dude that was like an army vet or something. Sorry about that, Polish. Love having company in the wild. I am Polish descent. Hey, that's very cool, though. I didn't know everybody had that big of tariffs on the U.S. Yeah, when you see this, guys, I mean, since we talked about it on Patreon, I guess we could talk about it here now. When you see these and you think reciprocal, and you really just look at these like you have no money exposed to markets at all, and you just go, wow, okay, China's charging 67%. 34. That's way lower. That could have been 67%. This could have been 70%. Not that bad. 39%. This could have been 40%. This could have been 39%. It's only 20%. It's almost half. Vietnam, 90%. 46%. Right? 46%. It's just, you look at this, you go, okay, it's just not that bad. And the funny part is, people are bringing up Russia. You know what Russia doesn't have? These kinds of tariffs on the U.S. Now they have sanctions and all kinds of things like that, and we have them on them as well. But they don't have these type of tariffs on the U.S., and that's why Russia's not on this list. Like, everyone losing their mind about Russia too online, and I'm just like, well, do they have the same tariffs that are these type? No. Okay, then why would we tariff them all of a sudden? At least that's how I see it. All right, Amazon, hold that divergence there. That'd be good. Perfect. Exactly. But we still have sanctions on them, so I just want people to know that's it's just we don't, there. It's just a distraction. It's just something you shouldn't even really pay attention to. It's just something that's like, oh, okay. I don't either. I'll have to look into the calculation a little more. I don't know. See, I think if you put that big a hit, that'd be a lot of pressure. I think that would have really shaken things up too much to do that much. I think this leniency, I would rather him have done even, but I understand the leniency. And it's just, it shows that you don't have to tariff by huge amounts because we are such a good consuming company. We are or consuming country. Once you put that in there, you go, a little tariff might go a long way. And those aren't even little. I was surprised to see 90% and things like that. That's what I was surprised about. I never thought I would see that percentage. I just never really looked into it. When the money's in my hand, I close it. Lurking Luke. Well, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. The best part about this is just if production comes back. Because and the other thing is, what kind of stocks are you guys looking at? You want to know what kind of stocks I'm looking at? Domestic ones like Ford, companies that have already made the move, like Toyota. They moved before this. Toyota did, apparently. So, Toyota, Ford, anyone that's going to easily be able to, or already starting to make plans to produce here or producing here already. It's just, we're too big of a consumer base. We are. We're too big of a consumer base to ignore. So people are going to react. The funny part is, I just imagine our day compared to like people who actually like deal with companies that are seriously affected by this. Imagine their day right now. Imagine Apple's day right now. Imagine Tim Cook right now. Oh my goodness, that dude is probably having a rough one. So let's pray for Tim. I bought Ford last night, only 300. Where see, Brian, were you thinking what I was kind of thinking? You run down what happened with the tariffs. They weren't one-to-one reciprocal, so this could already be priced in because he didn't one-to-one give reciprocal tariff. He didn't raise it really on anyone, so he's literally tariffing like 50% on places we like to do trade with. Hope everyone that was holding long is okay. Big losses are learning opportunities, says Carter. Yeah, so Brian, I think we're kind of thinking similar. The good part is my dad always buys Ford. My dad has always held Ford. So I'm going to tell him to be happy about it. What's Ford doing today? Kind of looks like a Tesla that's just continuing to drop relatively for what things are going through. Holding up pretty well. Thank you again for the $10, Carter. I'm going to really need that. My lungs are hurting, dude. Tim sold. Jim's just like, yeah, Tim sold that shit. You started to fall in love with it. Yeah, the parts. I know, Floyd. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but yeah, the parts thing as well. I understand that. We've talked about that before. Would you try to see Luke? Oh, I saw you type. You accidentally hit enter to like do a different paragraph. I know that happened. I know that's what happened to you, Lurk and Luke. I know. What was this? Where was it? Oh, I gotta scroll up for a sec. Well, investors, serious long-term investors, at least people who don't stare at markets all the time, just your Americans that probably bought, your really old people and stuff. They're probably still just like, okay. But they might feed into it and they might sell out. We'll see. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. Not yet. At this moment, you are still very likely to be a bear trap. Let's go look at the SPY because that's climbing down to that weekly expected move. This is the area we really want to pay attention. Okay, let's look at the 30-minute just to see here and go look at data. Now that we've seen a little bit of time behind that data. ISM Services PMI coming out at 50.8. Previous 53.5 and expected to be 53, but came in at 50.8. Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see. Oh shit, I didn't do that right. I'm gonna do a poll, guys. Hell yeah, Dubs. I was like, no way. It did. Nice job, Dubs. VVIX is actually down to damn. That's a misrepresentation. That's a misrepresentation for sure. Yeah, it's not down. Look over here. It's not down technically. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, the daily looks different than the other one. 2 hour shows the gap. That's weird. I think that's a misprint in some way. It literally says plus up here, and then oh, that's wild. Maybe it tracked in some overnight stuff or something. It might have tracked in some overnight stuff and just messed up a little bit. Oh, VIX 9-day has to be it's not that insane. It's really not that insane. Interesting. Huh. Thoughts on gold puts? You finally got the drop from gold. That's great. We'll see if it can retest the 5 and reject off. I do think gold needs to go down to at least 270 for like a retest in these type of level. Oh wait, I guess 270 was in here, right? The breakout area. Yeah, 269, 270. I still think you need to get there before you can see like another bullish full like bull sequence type moves. But just because I think it doesn't mean it has to be right, I'm not necessarily going to like short gold in this scenario, but yeah, I think it was like silver was something that was not doing very well, if I'm correct. Yeah, silver did really bad here. And good that we looked at silver yesterday and said, is this a good confirmation? I would say it's an okay confirmation, like a decent confirmation. But you have the price action sitting right on the 9, and you have this. So the only thing that kind of was like, was the price action sitting right on the 9. Big gap down there. But really, I mean, 4.65%. This is where it could get to. I mean, that's not too bad, but you would expect it to get to like 28. Right? If we're really going to break down, then this shouldn't hold up in here. Right? Silver should be like, no, this tariff shit is going to ruin us. And then it should be like, and then everything comes down because of tariffs. Because if everything's going to be affected by tariffs, then okay. But unless people fly to safety, right? Do they see silver as a safe haven? Right now, they're not, right? It's gapped down about 5%. You have daily expected moves in the bottom right corner, and yes, those are daily expected moves. It's about to be the bottom of the day, boys, at 10:30. Not Navin, just saying some, man, he's just shouting it out. All right, we'll hold you to it. I sold my spy puts yesterday. Yep, I suck. Hey, it happens, Bernie. It happens. Trust me, I also was like, yeah, I'll probably hedge it because if he does any, like, the way I was thinking about it was just like, if he does any tariff, they're probably going to be like, it's bad, right? They don't want it to be seen as good. But the point is, where we're at right now with the correction we've already had, was it worse, better, or right in line with what was expected? Right? Because I think the fear of the tariffs were very, very heightened. The numbers being thrown out were pretty big, but if I just look at it, it's not 1 for 1. He could have easily done 1 for 1. Ow, freaking, oh my God, I hit like a funny bone in my wrist. Ow. Like I said, if it's going to be really bad, then we should see these things start to violate weekly expected moves. We should see them start to go back even past it, right? If it's going to be really, really bad, we might get like a bounce or something, but you should eventually be able to be like, all right, we're going to violate all the monthly expected move as well. Could have been 1 for 1. We just have different views, right? We have a difference in how we look at the world. How we look at these type of things, and that's fine. We can be different. It's perfectly fine. And one of us can make or lose money. It's perfectly fine, right? It's more about how we're managing our risk and managing our money. Like, what is my exposure to this move right now of my entire, say, net worth? What's my exposure if I would lose all of it? 2.5%. Right now, I am down in my whole cash pile, 1.25%. That's how much exposure I had going into this. Right? It's all about the percentage. It's all about how much would this actually hurt me. So I can remain very calm. Didn't I say I like to do things really slowly? I knew that this would be a big event. Sometimes I bet harder than that. I didn't want to bet harder than that. I think if a squeeze, you can make plenty of money. I don't need to do crazy percentages. I just need to do things and scale in at the right times. Jess, let's go look at AMD. I mean, AMD here, once again, still just kind of like, do we see an hourly divergence set up? Is this rejection? We haven't even swept this low. Maybe we need to sweep that low now, but there is a chance that this is just a rejection divergence, or you head down a little bit lower to sweep that. Then you see this thing bounce back. AMD, though, just so you're aware, AMD can go lower this month for sure. For the week, though, it can't go much lower. It still can go lower. Not much lower, but a little lower. At least that would be what was expected. Augusta was the 199. Sorry, let me read this. What do you think about TOPT? TOPT. TOPT. 20 US ETF. It has a very similar thing to everything else. Let's look at the daily chart here and see that this is down in the unknown. That's the only sketchy part. So I'd still be looking for, if I'm longer term here, I'd still be looking for the daily to be able to cross up. But you see that the 2 hours actually crossed down. So your hourly chart, even your 30-minute might be a reason for the trade, right? It's just going to be rough with that kind of look on the MACD, right? You don't see any of this price action. So it might be worth it to do like an hourly or a 2-hour chart and then open that thing up. It actually might be worth it to open it up to extended hours to see, look at that, right? Right there. Look at something like AMD. Look at that. Something like NVIDIA. Look at that, right? Doesn't this look good? I think we leave extended hours on so you can see that good look on the 2-hour. And thank you so much, Augustus, for that. Jim, thank you for the $2. Pepsi or Coca-Cola? You can choose one. I don't like Pepsi unless it's with pizza. I like Coca-Cola all around. I would pick Coca-Cola all day. Now, Coca-Cola is seeing a great time. Coca-Cola is curling up on a daily chart. Coca-Cola is running into areas that can be troublesome, but wow, if this is some kind of massive cup and handle, I know it's crazy to call it that, but this is consolidation before a high, and you've crossed up. So what's the worrisome thing? Hey, this is a trap, right? That's a trap, right? That's what you're worried about. The daily crosses back down. This is bad, right? Do we see signals for that? Do we have expected moves and things like that? Not necessarily. This is a, this one more so want to look at regularly. Yeah, so you'll notice on the regular hours, you see a bunch of divergences start to pop up at these highs once they actually give you that one last fake out, but it still holds the point. Okay, turns down once it actually goes negative. We actually see, okay, we see consolidated for a while. Then it turns back up with what? Potential for 2-hour divergence there. Awesome, like to see it. Turns up into positive territory, able to curl up the daily chart, getting a little bit overbought here and kind of downward on your RSI. So it is something that can curl down on the 2-hour. This is overall saying like, yeah, filling the gap is likely with the MACD crossing down here, but the daily scale just turned up. All right, this is where sporadic, good, crazy, good things can happen to the upside, and this can also pull back or see something bad to the downside if this just curls down. So now you're kind of aware of like, this is the way it goes bad, but right now it looks good. And as long as this 2-hour is remaining positive and doesn't start to go negative, I'm not too worried, right? This could all be building up to here. You pull down on that 2-hour, you curl back up into positive territory. That would be a good sign. What you're looking for is if this just dumps off too aggressively, starts to go negative, that's when things look like they're going wrong. And once you cross that center line, it's pretty set. Like, hey, look at the daily chart and make sure that you're not getting confirmations below the 9-day moving average. But yeah, I still like Coca-Cola. And the reason I like Coca-Cola is this, right? Dividends, right? I like the fact that people are bringing up stocks that have dividends. It's very, very good, right? Because this means even if I wanted to hold long term, that would be probably okay. And I heard Coca-Cola, like I heard pop sales, soda sales, if you call it soda, I call it pop. If you're looking at those, you're going, they're actually slightly increasing, I believe. The last time I looked, that was about, I think 3 months ago, maybe. Let's see. Does okay, let me spell right. Coca-Cola has significant production in the United States. As a company headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, Coca-Cola operates a vast network of manufacturing and bottling facilities across the country, though it also relies heavily on global production for its international markets. But you see how Coca-Cola could produce from home and not be too affected by this, right? That's why I think Coca-Cola could be a good thing, but we still see at this moment a daily divergence forming. Okay, so you have to be aware that can still go wrong even with our research. But this would mean over time, Coca-Cola would be something that could potentially last with these tariffs very easily, right? And the reason that people, actually, weirdly enough, this is almost a recession indicator. Coca-Cola can almost be a recession indicator. Why are people buying Coca-Cola? Why at the Quick Trip down the street from you are people buying Coca-Cola? Don, thank you so much for subscribing today. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Why? Why would Coca-Cola be going up, and why could it be maybe even a recession indicator? Well, Coca-Cola, actually, it's not dividends. It's actually something very simple. People are buying Coca-Cola more. Those iced lattes at all those expensive coffee shops are getting too expensive, and so people are just running up to Quick Trip and buying Coca-Colas because they're a little bit cheaper. It's kind of weird, but that's what's happening. That's just a behavior thing. I don't think I could prove it with numbers, but that's just a behavior thing that's been happening. We'll have to see if it proves with numbers in 2025. I think in 2025 we could see it proven with numbers, right? That earnings is coming up. Maybe we see it proven then. Maybe we get a pullback here, and then we turn up. You never know. But as far as right now goes, you're aware of how that goes wrong. You're aware of how it could really go right. Looks like right now it's trying to go right. That's fine. That's great. That's good. Okay. Do I want to take this as an option opportunity right now? Do I have weekly and monthly expected moves? Is this too aggressive of a move? Do I need to wait for a 2-hour pullback? Those are the type of things that most likely go through people's heads at this area, right? That's kind of the decision making I would think about. But when I look at Coca-Cola, I just think long term. I think Coca-Cola long term is what I would more so be paying attention to as far as that goes. It's true. When I don't drink coffee, I go get a Coke or a Pepsi. And some people don't like to drink coffee in the middle of the day. What do they grab? A Coca-Cola. Lines at the car wash getting shorter. That's right. All the little things that you don't feel like you need to spend money on. Nuka-Cola. Yo, if that cup and handle would play out, like, let's just measure that out. Let's just measure it out for fun real quick. I'm not suggesting that this is definitely going to happen or anything like that. I could see Coca-Cola being more of a long-term type of thing. Let's take it from the close there all the way down to the low. If it is some kind of consolidation, I'm going to take it from the top of that bar I measured. 84. That'd be pretty impressive. From right here to about 84 would be 15%. You know, after a move like this, going up 15% would be crazy. No one, I think a lot of people wouldn't see that coming. But it still looks like 2-hour pullback seems very likely. SPY still dropping, maybe it is able to go to the weekly expected move. I was surprised the Qs aren't there. I really thought the Qs would be there, but Tesla probably helping that out. Gold now only down 0.36. And I know Tesla down 5.5%, but I'm saying Tesla could be a lot worse. Tesla could be a lot worse, right? Apple did this. Tesla's like chilling. Now, why would Tesla be chilling? You know, ask yourself, why would Tesla be chilling? Well, pretty simple. Let's go look. Tesla has significant production in the United States. Here's a detailed breakdown. All right, they break it down for you. They have Fremont, California, the Gigafactory in Texas, the Gigafactory in Nevada. Total vehicle production in 2023, 73% was in the United States. And it is expected to hold steady in 2024. There were no moves that would really happen to affect that. So 73% for Tesla. Interesting. And this thing got some interesting news, but I'm not going to read into that too much. So yeah, you have about a 70 to 75% exposure here to production for Tesla. Good exposure for what's going on right now. Oh, I did look at it this morning, Jay say. I'll look at it again real quick. Oh. As far as the daily chart goes, man, you just can't ask for something that, you know, I still would look at this more from an investor type of lens. But as far as the daily divergence goes, I mean, if you don't make a 2-hour divergence in here and you just start to rock it, that would be, hey, the daily curls up. That would be a great thing. Sometimes the daily will curl up and then it'll dip back down and then go. So we'll see. You know, options could get involved. But man, you're looking like this, you're looking at that, you're looking at that. It looks pretty clean. You just don't have much on the 2-hour to give you that hint. But we have to see if these things confirm. It's very important to understand these things are not at all confirmed right now. We are heading down, 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 down. And look at the PCC going up, 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 as we approach something that was completely expected. This was priced in. Whether you like it or not, this big drop was priced in. It almost was priced in by the daily expected moves. These are the biggest daily expected moves I've ever calculated. It's like hard for me to even get them on the screen. I have to like zoom out. I usually like to be a little bit in so you guys can really see the bar. Yeah, I actually think Amazon would be affected in a way, but I think it would be more so it's like, okay, those products in China that are shit, that when you buy them, they, you know, you buy a t-shirt that's a medium and it comes like in a baby size, or you buy a t-shirt that's a medium and then you wash it once and it's like literally a toy t-shirt. Those type of products might go away, right? You might have searched on Amazon before and seen maybe a shoe or something, and it gives that little notification, hey, this is a returned item a lot of the time, right? They're like, this item is returned a ton. Usually that's an item pretty much from like a Temu or a Shein or something like that that's from a different country. That's just how it goes. It's very cheaply produced. So you get a very cheap product, and The US, people don't like that, but people will reach out for those cheaper items. That's the interesting thing. So we're hoping production in some way comes for cheaper items here in the States as well, right? That's what you're hoping for. That's why I think Toyota is super smart. I think Toyota is super smart because Toyota already said they have plans to, they said this like a month or so ago, that they already have plans to make production facilities in the United States, or at least increase their production in the United States in some way. And I think that's very, very good. I think that makes a ton of sense, and they're reacting before everyone. I think it's very cool. And the thing about it, Toyota was already one of the cheap cars. Now could potentially be cheaper. Now I don't know everything about the car market, so take it with a grain of salt. But I like Toyota, and therefore I'm going to look at Toyota. I'm going to see the moves they're doing, and if I agree with them, I might even buy Toyota for a big investment. But am I investing at these levels? Not necessarily. I think this, weirdly enough, whether you like it or not, if this worked and people read into how it worked right now, they could price in a full economy growing for the next like 5 years, and we could price that in very quickly. Like this could save the market technically. I don't think it will. I think we still are going to run into bad things, obviously. That's what I really think. But I can see a way that if you did everything and everything went perfect, it could genuinely cause a boom for the stock market for years to come. It genuinely can. But you were talking about time. You'd have to speed up that timeline really fast, and people would have to react really, really quickly. And I just think that that's, I just think that that's not going to happen, right? So, but I can see how it would happen. Being able to see how something could happen is good, just in case you start to see it continue. And it gets that little 1% guy in your brain to help you out. I agree. Toyota did, Intel did. Lots of companies were signed into agreements when Trump left round one. As an Amazon employee, lost 29,000 this morning. Ooh, Augustus, unfortunate. I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing that with us. As far as Amazon goes, right? I'm looking at Amazon over at my other chart. Do you know what Amazon has right now for you, Augustus? Augustus, Amazon has a 68% chance to close above the price that you're at right now by Friday. Now, it doesn't have to. This can really be something surprising. But as of right now, it's kind of priced in for the month, right? If this was going to be a mega crash, we got to see it get out of that monthly expected move. Believe it or not, next week calls SV. Amazon down today or took actual losses? Amazon down today or took actual losses? Oh, this was part of my plan. If you're asking about my trades, yeah, this is part of my plan. So, right, we had a plan for this scenario. I'm doing things differently this time. I knew that things would maybe be wild, so I wanted to just take a far out position, have my conviction, understand this looks very corrective, understand how bearish people are. Let's look at fear and greed right now and just make my decision. And maybe even it's a risk to reward decision, and maybe it all, goes kaput. Maybe I lose everything. Well, maybe I lose everything that I've made my own self exposed to, right? I have decided how much money I am going to expose here. I have decided how much. That's important. Be accountable, right? I am taking a loss right now. But in the grand scheme of my entire, say, portfolio, this would be as of right now, if I would sell right now, this would be a 1.25% loss. I don't need to bet a ton if I think a squeeze is coming. Why would I do that? A squeeze, you can make a lot of money pretty quick. So I'm not going to, and I knew a crash was possible. So if I know a crash is possible, but I also think a squeeze has higher potential, but I'm still fearful of that crash, I don't have to risk, say, 20% of my portfolio. My whole pretty much portfolio that I'm trading with right now would be 20%, right? Because I'm 80% in cash in case this crash actually does happen, right? I still think that the crash is coming. That's why I have that 80%. But the 20% allows me to just sit there and still be able to make money trading, which is all I want to do. I just want to do options, and I want to sit here, and I've been doing this for going on about 1.5, maybe 2 years, and I've just been playing options and being like, I'm not comfortable to hold investments at this level. Have I missed out on some money? Yes. Do I care? No. I made the decision that I thought was right for me. And in hindsight, maybe it will be a huge mistake. Maybe in hindsight, it'll be a huge mistake. maybe in hindsight, it'll be a huge success, a huge good decision. Let's go look at fear and greed though. What are we at now? Like a freaking 1? You're at a 10. So 2 days ago you were at 19. Yesterday you were at 17, even though we were going up. And then today you were at 10. That's pretty wild. Holy crap, 10. That's crazy. Yeah, that's true, not Navin. I agree with that. More of a tech company all around. But at the end of the day, people are going to follow car sales, you know? The stat I got, Jack Katz, was 73%, but that's not like a full analysis, right? I'm just asking AI right now to be quick, right? To just get a general number. And then I can go cross verify, see if that's correct. But now, I wonder what they do with their loans, though. Tesla. I wonder what they do with their loans, because I think a lot of Elon Musk loans are from China. Does anyone know about that? I don't stick around. I don't look at Tesla enough on the fundamental side to know. But if someone knows, let me know. What would not necessarily what would the effect be, but just how much is he still exposed to loans from China? Maybe someone who really, really likes Tesla could let us know. You know what? Should we look at little 5-minute charts? We are going to be live on Rumble later today. The link is down there in the description if you would like to join us today. Just go click that link in the description that says, hey, join us for the Power Hour stream later today. If you want to stick around for Power Hour, we've seen big moves in the last 5 minutes of every day, and we've been watching it. No, I can't do full day stream. I kind of said if my wife wakes up and feels better, I was going to. I won't be able to because she's not well. Yeah, she's not. She feels much better. The sleep really helped. She's feeling much better. She has some energy this morning, so now I'm feeling good about that. But I want to make sure to help her as much as possible. It was nice to have one-on-one time with Ari though in the middle of the week. Usually I only get that on like weekends, so it was very nice. And apparently my daughter was going to sleep, but she didn't want to go to sleep and she was going dad. So I was like, oh, that's very sweet. She really wanted to keep playing with me. Are you saying he needs to remove the tariffs that he just put out? People, if you haven't joined Rumble, it's easy to do. Yeah, there's some wonkiness. We'll try to, you got to make sure you hit that live button when you first show up and things like that, I think. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's a good thing, SV. If these people work deals, that's even better. That's even better. That's even better if they work deals. But I would rather, since he's already being lenient, he's not going 1-for-1. It really depends on the deal. And I think Donald Trump is someone that you should be like, that guy, he's done deals his whole life. Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm comfortable with it. I type with 2 fingers. Takes me like, no, I don't type with 2 fingers. But let me see if anything's cheap over here that I can snag. Maybe we wait for a little bit. Man, absolute crash. I really thought that like AMC and GME would be at 0 if this thing was really, really bad, but man, those are domestic companies though. Not even cutting the low. Interesting. Ooh, we might be approaching. Who said 10:30? 10:30 for a bounce. I still think you might need to make that 30-minute. Look how positive that 30-minute is. Actually, weirdly enough, it's not even as positive as over here. Like, it's not even as overbought. Kind of wild. Recession looking more likely. Recession's been likely the whole time. Yeah, if you want to believe that, Chris, that's fine. I could see reasons to believe that. Not Navin, you're calling it, right? Markets go up in the next 25 minutes. We'll give you the full bar. Exactly, Martin. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's going to happen. That like, okay, well, let's say this. This is the one thing that if it went perfectly, this tariffs, if they go perfectly and they are fast at implementation and we see fast reactions in 2025, that's the only way I see this saving itself, is if we somehow figure out manufacturing by like 2026, because it's going to take a while for this to do it. But I like my daughter, so I'm very happy about these because it potentially is very, very good. The risk reward of this being good for future generations is very high. I still buy AMC though. Hey, same. Same, Chris, still holding it. It's like the only investment I hold are the memers. They're my risk to reward investments for that 1% chance. Sometimes the 1%'s, that's what makes you the most money. And I'm willing to lose every penny, Chris. Why? Because I manage the position size. Art of the deal. Okay, SV? As you continue lowering or removing tariffs, and we will do the same. Other countries will catch on. I kind of thought, like, I get tariff. Like, I totally understand. Like, I wish we could just trade 0 for 0. I wish we could, but it's just probably that's definitely like a fairy tale. I wouldn't doubt it, SV. The reason that what you're saying is so smart is because we are consumers. All of the stuff that you have in your house, it is very unlikely to go over to some countries and see that in everyone's house. Right? We are a super consumer base. We are willing to put ourselves in crippling debt to get a purse in America. That's how consumer driven we are. That's how important the US economy is. They still want to sell to you guys. They still want to sell to children. We still let children have smartphones. Do you know how big of a market that is? Huge. No, you can't. You won't get 0 for 0. No. And then and like 0 for 0 doesn't really make sense, right? If someone does something better than you and like just better, just blatantly better, right? Let's say someone comes out with a chip and it's just absolutely better than everything else, and it would be stupid not to have that chip. It makes sense for that country that created that to put a tariff on it, right? That's where it makes sense, right? If my apples are crap and nobody wants my red apples, you know, that kind of, then yes, it makes sense for the green apples to have a tariff on them, you know? I did think that, you know, I don't want. We won't get into any Israel stuff. I just can't. I don't know enough about it, and two, I'm just sick of it. And we kind of said that on Rumble yesterday. We're just kind of sick of it. But the other thing is, if you're worried about this drop and then we end up seeing it in the upward direction, someone yesterday did say, you know, destruction breeds creativity. This is maybe destruction. Secret ringleaders. Stop it, Angus. I mean, you know, if you're very long term, you know, people say long term. The problem with this, with like doing things online and trying to ask those kinds of, it's a great question, Burke. It is. It's just we don't know what you consider long term versus what Warren Buffett considers long term, right? Versus what I consider long term, right? I've already been out of the market. I've already been fully out of the market for about a year, just out. I didn't want the exposure. I was like, nope, I can just trade. I can just do options. So pretty much about a year or 2 years ago, pretty much in there, that's when I started to really just be like, I'm pretty much done with this thing. I wasn't comfortable. It was after the boom moment. I think it was here. It was actually in. Oh wait, we're on the SPY already. It was after this. It was once I saw this. So weirdly enough, I saw like this and I went, I'm not comfortable investing. And look what I missed out on. I missed out on all this investing wise. But look at the turbulence I had to go through and how many emotions my investing could have had, right? That could have made me real emotional, right? If I was holding in any of these type of moments, even right now, right? So I was just like, I don't want to go through that. I'm going to do just options. And pretty much it was like most was getting taken out during this up run. And then I see this. And then this is when I kind of said, yeah, I just don't want to invest anymore. I'm just like, I just don't want to. I just don't. I can't. The risk made me uncomfortable. That's all. That's literally it. The risk made me uncomfortable. This monthly chart at the time we reached these type of levels, this monthly chart was here. And I said, if that ever turns down with a divergence, I'm going to just S my P's. So I was just like, I'm not comfortable with it. See how we're different. We might be different. Now, I would say this. If the monthly here is curled down by the end of the month, Burke, that would be something to pay attention to. Okay, now does that mean I want to take all my longs off, or could I still keep some companies that I see have production in the US, and even if they did crash, I'm still going to make dividends or something like that as well? Are they risky stocks, or are they stocks that have been around for a while? You heard me shout out like Ford. Ford's been around for a long time. Coca-Cola's been around for a long time, right? Those type of things, hey, you might trim, right? When an insider sells, do they sell 100% of their shares a lot of the time? No, they usually sell a significant portion, but not 100%. And that's kind of what I'm getting. You never know if it's just going to boom. So you still probably want some exposure, but I like to move money differently than you. I'm just discussing how other people make decisions. My decision was I'm out. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm really thinking with my kind of style here, I'm just like, this looks like it's going to end badly, right? So I don't want my exposure there. But that means I just didn't have as much risk tolerance on the investment side as someone else. And I just knew that I had option skills to keep my money growing. So that's overall why that decision was made, right? I can really mitigate my losses by doing options at small amounts at the right times. Happy weekend. What up, Iran? How you doing? Tina's here. Oh my God, Tina, we mentioned you yesterday. I was smart enough to short the market ever since Trump took office. This guy filed several bankruptcies, so I thought he's expert into bringing this country into bankruptcy as well. It's not true, Tina. It's not true. Now, when it is true is if no one brings production over here. We've already seen Toyota do that. We've already seen some companies do it. So they've already reacted before the tariffs even came out. They've at least made announcements. So it's just, it can be really troublesome if production does not pick up in the States. If production doesn't pick up in the States, that's the big deal. That's where I would agree with you, and this is bad. This is a bad deal. Exactly, Tina. And Tina's looking at it like, I don't care. 10 years sounds okay to me. Okay, if that's the risk tolerance. But yeah, just reading into it wise, just looking at it and going, yeah, they take time. We're probably going to go through a recession anyway. But is that going to happen right now? This looks very corrective. So we'll see. If it picks up and becomes not corrective looking, that's when we get a little bit more scared. But right now, you're still in a weekly expected move. All of this price action that you're seeing today is expected for the week. And we'll see what happens. But I would agree with you if production does not pick up at all in the States, or doesn't pick up to the level that that it actually makes sense and causes growth in the US. Exactly, Todd. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, once you think about, we are huge. We are such consumers. We are willing to put ourselves in crippling debt, right? We're willing to take a 32% credit card. We are willing to take a 32% rate on a credit card here in the States. And everyone does it, right? It's like very high majority of regular people do it. To do what? To just keep spending like they always do, to buy things they really don't need, to consume. Now, in this type of scenarios, a lot of people are doing that to consume the things they need. That's the scary part. Now you're seeing people put on debt groceries. That's when you start to go, oh, they're not even buying the purse anymore. They're actually buying things they need. That's when it starts to get a little scarier. Trading view, J New. Yeah, Ta, I think your points are great. Yeah, I think that makes total sense. Now, it can make total sense to us. We can be wrong. My company failed, Bernie, remember? Good old COVID. Let's not forget everything is going up, but wages are still low. Again, only consumers will get it. Now, the other what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Do you guys I mean, you guys realize when production shifted over to China, we lost 6 million jobs, and you know who benefited from the loss of those jobs? It was the people at the top. The people at the top benefit. The spread got bigger, the margins got bigger because they could pay people significantly less, like way less than you'd expect over in other countries. Now they're potentially not going to be able to make those margins. So what does that mean for stocks? Their margins might be smaller. What does that mean? It might turn down. Maybe people think the earnings are more lackluster, and the future projections look bad, right? But wages should go up in that scenario. Wages should go up in that scenario. And that's what I think people don't want. I really think that a lot of politicians, because politicians made these decisions that caused this stuff to start to happen, I really think that. That's just my genuine opinion. I could be wrong. That's perfectly fine with me. 30-minute here. We're getting down to the weekly expected move. Let's go look at the Qs getting down to their weekly expected move. Let's see if we catch a bounce. Now, don't take into consideration that we could go all the way down to the monthly, right? We could go all the way down to the monthly. I don't think you want to do that, but we'll see. We will see. Yeah, I don't like the robots thing, Tina. I do not like. If you really ask me, hey, do you like AI? I'd be like, for humanity. I always say that. I'm like, for humanitarian reasons, no. Right, Tina? So that is something that I, obviously didn't talk about this morning at all, but that is a very good point. I disagree with that. Not you. I disagree with replacing everyone with robots in general. But what if what if you end up in a utopia? It's possible. That'd be crazy. I don't think so. No, 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 no. That's kind of. But yeah, Tina, I'd have to dead set agree with you on that. Well, that's the crazy part. It's like she's talking about they're developing those. Now those could be way, way off. We actually I wouldn't be the person to talk to who knows like a timeline on something like, oh, can robots become plumbers yet? That's not something I would be able to tell you about. If someone wants to do a full research video on it and send it to me, I would be more than happy to take a look though. What does the timeline of AI look like from a average earner's perspective and the longevity of their possible work or their career? Well, the only other thing with robots is you will need maintenance people. So there will be shifts. It's like, are we going to create robots that work on the robots to keep the robots maintained before the robots are actually able to do everything that we do? That the manual labor, that would be a very interesting research paper, right? Jobs shift around. Jobs shift around. Uber didn't exist, right? Things like that, right? Electric vehicles not going to be a thing. Oh, now they're a thing. Even big houses didn't exist a long time ago. Even really big houses didn't really exist. They were a very one-off thing. Hey, that's dope, Tina. I hope it gets there for you. I hope everyone's able to make money in it. But I don't know. Richard might have something to say about that. Richard might be pissed if that happens. The ones with the most robots win. Yeah, robots will fight wars. Maybe robots will do this. That'd be a lot of money. That'd be so expensive. I think you're starting to see it develop with, like, say, drone technology, right? I think it would be, not Navin. I think it would be like drone tech gets way good. Yeah, just wait. We'll wait and see. I think that we're going to go through recession, and then I want to see what happens after that. After the recession, that's when I'll be paying attention, and we'll look at job growth and stuff like that. Just please, if the stock market starts to crash and your life actually ends up getting better, just don't be freaking out. But the thing is, I know that people are very exposed to the market, very exposed. We're the most exposed ever. Oh, it hasn't always been like that. Do you actually know? Do you actually know when that really started to escalate? Because it actually has to do with now. Who thinks they know, like, when the wage gap really started to escalate to, oh, this is gonna start to pull apart, right? When did the band really start to stretch out between the, say, 1% and the middle class? For my cash pile, yeah. Love it, love live. Sorry. When Nixon took office. Hey, what year was that, Samson? COVID. That escalated it. 19. Let's see here. Yep, spot on. Good answers. 1969. It is a little bit after that, Samson. A little bit after that. Wonder what happened around 1971, though. Oh, Reese. I saw you typed it right as I said it. I know you weren't cheating, Reese. There were two things that happened in 1971 that really caused some crazy stuff to start to separate. Now, nobody noticed it because it seemed small at the time, but over time, it does crazy things. IWM monthlies, you got to get over on Patreon, but I'll give you a good idea where they're at, okay? Give you a good idea. Oh, shoot, I don't have that up there yet. Hold on, give me a sec. There we go. All right, IWM. Let's see where that's at. Yeah, so to put this in perspective for IWM, I will tell you this. You are very close to being there. You are very close to being there. Less than 4% from being at that expected move. But people do pay for that information, just so you're aware. So if a Patreon member would like to tell you, they are more than welcome to. But you are less than 4% away from a monthly expected move for IWM. All right, should we end this? Should we leave this? Should we keep leaving this on here? I'm gonna try to go live a little bit longer today. Should we keep leaving this poll up there? What we got? We got 203 votes. Let's, oh, dude, 300 people. Come vote. You know, go vote. All right, a lot. It seems like a big percentage of people saying higher, but PCC does not agree with you. A lot of people today do not agree with whoever said higher. Now that can be quick. We'll see. That can be quick. We'll find out. We are contrarian. Well, it's just the risk to reward would be great. Because as of right now, there's a huge influx to people trying to do stock market crash bets. And this is what was overall my thinking. That was what we kind of thought would happen. Most probable scenario post-Trump tariff release, right? Not today, but post-Trump tariff release is this is the move to shake people out below yesterday's low. Emotional traders will bet big on a stock market crash at the lows. I should have put at the lows, creating a massive bear trap, and we short squeeze. That actually is very probable. According to your weekly expected move, that is still the most probable thing in this area. Isn't that crazy? If it starts to get less probable, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It'll change. Things change. Right? IWM falling off a cliff, probably looking awful. Still room to the downside. Still priced in for the month. Pretty crazy. I dig it. Oh, wait. Hey, who said 30 minutes? You only got 4 minutes left. Who did it? Oh, of course, Tina. Yeah, you've come down to lower levels. You've already seen an expansive kind of move. Like if you want to see that, you could potentially just do this. Turn on minutes real quick and just see. You've seen that expansion. Now, sometimes you do see moments where it expands one way and then snaps the other. You do see that sometimes, but more of the time you're going to see this need to like get tight again. Yeah, more of the time you'll need that. So that bounce, that first bounce to test the 5 is going to be very like, I would be skeptical of a bounce that retests a 5 is what I'm overall saying. You still need to potentially even create signals down here. The only thing that'll really make you happy is if you just see this thing rip, right? You get back above levels by Friday close, pretty much. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the move, but if people are trying to make money fast, you know, this is the type of situation where people take puts, you know, for 2 days and say a stock market crash, a 20% down move is going to happen in 2 days. That's the kind of decisions people are probably making right now. Some people out there are making big decisions with a big amount of money, trying to make money quick because we're in an environment where people are struggling and they think the stock market is where they can make the most money. So they think if this is going to crash, this is easy money. I can make a lot in a crash, so let me bet everything. And that's going to be a big issue. As of right now, 550 is the huge put wall for the SPY, and we broke through that. So those people are probably real excited for the day. As far as it goes for tomorrow, 545, 550. 550 is still a huge level. So if you really wanted to hurt the bears after this, you shoot it up past 555, right? You close above 555 by tomorrow. By probably, you know, you want to see that upward move probably throughout the day. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying, Tina? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, Amazon's reaching down towards a monthly expected move almost. It still could need to make signals at the monthly expected move. It could take a lot of time here. Go look at futures though. Let's see how this thing's behaving. There you go. 30-minute actually crossed. 2 hour. What's my weekly for the SPX? 4. Pull up your guys' chat again while I do this. I think I have it on the actual SPX, but oh, maybe I don't. Oh, not on these charts. Some of my other ones. I think I put it on futures over here. Yeah, so this is what we're looking at right now. That's the only thing I see that could potentially give a bounce. I don't like 30 minutes on these charts, though. I like the 2 hours. But, hey, it looks crazy. It looks wild. But a divergence led to a bounce. If this divergence confirms, this has not confirmed. This is not the same as right here. All right? This is still bad. But if it would turn around for whatever reason, that can take place. We'll see. We shall see. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to stop. We are at the weekly expected move. Hey, we get out of that 68% zone. We read into it just like any other week. 1 more minute, not Navin? Oh, come on. You got it. Come on. Now, do you want an extra 30 minutes? 911 Carrera convertible. So happy that I got that last week with the tariffs. I already am $50,000 up. Dude, that's facts. I actually thought about that, Tina. Any car that you see that has zero production in the States that people can't get access to easily in the next like 2 years is going to go up in value so fast. It would be a chance for you to actually like make back that depreciation on your asset, weirdly enough. But it also might, if those people don't produce over here ever, it would be almost like an antique or like a I don't even know what you would want to call it. Oh shoot, what's a word for it? It would be like a 1 in a million type thing. It would be so insane. So Tina, that's awesome. I was talking about that kind of with my wife. I was just like Audis, BMWs, little ones like that, but like Porsche and things. Oh my goodness. Anyone that doesn't have any production here, whew, that's gonna go up in value fast. Scarcity. Scarcity is a great word. I'm just happy that I'm happy that everyone's not losing their mind. I thought about ah, I have used it before, little AR-15. I don't use it now. Eat, trade, travel. Buy the GME project, bro. Already in GME right now. Don't even get me started. Why is your name all check marked and stuff? Are you big or something? I've never seen that in my chat before on Streamlabs. Also, is that a book? Eat, trade, travel. Eat, trade, travel. The story of a traveling trader, or the story of a traveling white woman who trades. Like that's what I would imagine, and I'd probably read that book. I'd be like, probably reading that book. I wake up every morning and I travel to Starbucks. Hey, that's awesome. Eat, trade, travel. That's awesome. You have some fun content. I like it. I like to watch travel stuff. I watch a lot of Japan stuff. Eat, trade, travel. It just sounds funny to me. Wake up in the morning. I always eat a scone. Just traveling Trump videos. Hey, we like that. That's good. Or at least I like that. Probably a lot of people in chat don't. Wait, what kind of Trump videos? I gotta see them. Now I gotta see them. Hopefully, either whether they're hate or love for the guy, I think it's funny. Because like, there's no in between. It's very hard to find someone in between. I hate Starbucks. Oh, then you're gonna save a lot of money for your trades. Wonder if Amazon will hit 163 before reversing. Let's go look over at Amazon. Definitely could. I'm still looking at that, right? The 174, we have that marked off because that's the breakout area from a big move. So it's very good, but you really would not want to lose this. 180 pretty much is going to be very important. Okay, good. Hope your travels are going good. Hopefully you've been safe out there, all right? Congratulations on your channel. Yeah, so for Amazon, it's just really worrisome to be losing these levels. I would say by the end of the week, but I would go as far to say as by the end of the day. I think if you go by the end of the day, it looks really bearish, and you got to see some big positivity the next day. Uh-oh, what happened, little AR-15? Wait for 450. Well, I can't tell you what to do. We can see if it looks good. We can see how it looks. Did I delete meta? Oh, I'm just being an idiot. Yeah, and like you see this 30-minute, and what I would more so be looking at in these areas is just like, where's my weekly? Where's my monthly? Okay. Percentages are with me. Percentages are not quite with me on the monthly yet, but they're kind of with you on the week. So it goes, okay, this could continue, right? We can go down to a monthly expected move, but this does look like an area where you could make potential decisions. It is, according to your monthly expected moves, it is very unlikely to see meta go down to 450. And we don't know how you do an option, you do an invest, you doing this, you doing that. So for the time being, it would just be like this as far as my analysis goes. The 30-minute curls up here, it looks good, right? It looks like you'll get a potential 2-hour move, even though it looks like garbage. Now the 2-hour is dipping down and down and down, so this is going to look really risky. So this might just be, what if it's risk to reward? Those type of decisions make sense here if you're feeling bullish for Meta, right? Using those percentages, using those weekly expected moves, and then going, okay, what's the risk to reward for the week? What would the risk to reward look like if we bounced from right here next week? And that's what I'd kind of look into, right? If we're going to catch a bounce, and it's going to continue to go down, then it is very likely that we see some kind of bounce to go fill that gap. Well, what if next week's weekly expected move is right here at the gap fill? You get that to rip up, and then everyone says, oh, it's over, it's bullish, it's bullish. They don't go bearish here. That would be big, and then it just crosses back down. That's kind of more what we're looking at. Now, that would be a big upward move, so maybe or actually, that was a 2-hour chart. That's probably right. So you're kind of like, oh, the 2-hour does the same thing as right here, right? We make the signal. We kind of make a very volatile looking signal if it even confirmed back up. Then you see some kind of rip, then it sells off again. So some kind of rip, then it sells off again. All right, that would be the way that I would see this breaking down more logically as people continue to just push the PCC and stuff. So it's just remaining there. That's how I see it, Tina. I think 450 would be very interesting, but I think at 450, you're going to really be like, all right, the monthly is looking really, really, really bad at that point. So kind of a scary area there. How's the VIX still below 30? Damn, Dubs, you bring up some good stuff. Oh, no. You keep GME shares in your bag when you travel? No options for me either. Hey, that's the smartest way to play it. If you're risk to rewarding something like GME and AMC, it's risk an amount, right? That's how I always talked about it back then when we talked about it. Just risk an amount of money that wouldn't hurt you, right? That's how I see it. And then it would be risk to reward and just say, hey, if that thing never pops off, okay, but it could be a 1% moment for you. And a lot of people are looking at it, so it does have a good 1% moment chance there, I would say. But at the end of the day, it's still 1%, right? It's still 1%. So if it's still like a short squeeze like that is one of the least likely things to ever see, but it can happen. And so if I use an amount of money and I hold it, hey, I could maybe turn 500 bucks into 20 grand real quick. If I just, invest and hold and say, hey, I'm willing to lose 500 bucks. Or maybe it's 5,000. You're like, yeah, I might make like $20,000 from that. Maybe all you want is a 4X. I don't know, but we'll see. That's way up in the air, and that's very speculative, and it might never happen. You have to understand that if you're taking that plunge. But it doesn't mean put your life now, even if you bought at higher levels for something like GME or AMC, it means still have a number in mind of like, this is how much I want to scale in. This is how much I want a dollar cost average, right? Those are the type of things that really people think about if they're caught in holding a bag. Do I want to sell the bag when it's at a low, or do I just want to hold it in case it ever pops off again, right? How much money is in there? Shoot, do I need that money right now? Would I mind losing that money after it's lost that amount of value? Is that really going to hurt my life? Those type of questions are what you have to ask yourself on an individual basis. Yeah, no bounce. Yeah, no bounce just yet. Looks like we have the SPY and the Qs getting to their weekly expected move right now. But a 2 standard deviation move for the day, by the way, for this daily expected move is the monthly pretty much. So if you're going to go down to the 95% area for the day, that would actually be down towards 532. Right? Once you get that second standard deviation, you start to get a lot more percentage, right? This was the discussion of pick a number between pick a range between 1 and 100. I'm going to pick a number. What numbers do you pick? Well, if I put no stipulation on it, then you should technically pick 1 to 100, and you would be right every single time. Stop losses, I think, are great, depending on your strategy and what you're trying to do. I'm doing things a lot differently right now. I am someone who likes to manage my trades physically. Every once in a while, I will do a stop loss, but more so, I am someone who just reacts and does longer out positions so that I can react in real time with what I'm comfortable or uncomfortable with. Ciao, Tina. Thank you for stopping by, Tina. We literally mentioned you yesterday. I was like, I need to see Tina in here. I gotta hope she's doing okay. I hope life's going well, Tina. Apple stock prediction really depends if they start to do production in the States. They're going to be really affected by tariffs. They have to say we are going to start plans to do production in the States. That's what they need to update. Or they need to say, hey, our Austin, Texas facility, we're going to start producing iPads and iPhones there. That's going to be big. If they do that, they don't have terrible signals. You know, it's really bad. They don't have terrible signals on the macro side yet, right? This looks awful. But you see how if it would turn around, it could be a good thing. So it really depends, but you're very dependent on that. And you're dependent on, was this already priced in? Right? Was it already priced in? The cool part about Apple is Apple always shows the weakness first, man. And look at that. Boom, boom, boom. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh, what happens next? We'll see. But if this daily can get back into business, if the 2-hour can actually curl up, right? And maybe we're more looking at like, I don't know, what's a 4-hour look like? Yeah, maybe you got to wait on the 4-hour just to give yourself enough time to see, like, is there momentum here? All right, 4-hour divergence. The first one failed. Let's see if we can hold the second one. I still am going to look at this 2-hour. Still going to look at the 30-minute for now. And we start to see a little bit of green off of the weekly expected move. As we get to the weekly expected move, we see that the PCC is still increased to 1.2. Usually when I see that, we get a bounce. People are overly bearish at the lows. Overly bearish, not at the lows. Overly bearish at the low side of the expected move. IWM looks like it is just tipping. That makes sense, right? A lot of retail owns IWM. People are really reacting. I think retail is probably trying to be like, I want to save my 401k. Do you think that's happening? Also, Tiago, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you being here. Awesome channel. Keep up the good work, my friend. Hey, I appreciate that. Good luck on your travels. Have fun. Stay safe. Let's see. Wait. Wait. I feel like, not to be weird, but I think me and my wife might have watched one of your videos. Yeah, I think we might have watched one of your videos before. That's funny. But fun. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for everyone for stopping by. Thank you guys for coming by. I know today can be a crazy day. So thank everyone for being here. We are glad to see you here. So Canada still has to go through the House for their tiny 10% tariff repeal. Feel like we are only headed down with some bounces on the way. I'm debating implementing a stop loss today. Oh, well, you got to do what's best for you, right? You have to do what's best for you. Whatever, you, like I just said, I did what was best for me in the past, and I missed out on a lot of the investing side. I missed out on a lot over the last year and a half. But that's what was comfortable for me, and I'm not going to regret a decision. Why would I sit and linger on a regret on the past? I already made the decision, and I'm executing my plan as far as doing options for a couple of years, just options alone to mitigate risk, right? So I'm not risking big amounts of money, right? So it's all about your comfortability too. Just hold on and turn off fake media news. Oh gosh, I think it's a good thing. I think for my daughter, I'm very happy. I'm very happy, and I hope it is successful. If it is successful and production comes here and wages increase, that's the path that can happen. It will take a lot of time, but I really hope so. Margins for the 1% will go down because they actually have to pay real wages. That's a good thing. You always hear those people say like, man, this guy is $100 million. Why doesn't he just like pay his employees more? Well, he doesn't, because he is paying his employees exactly what they are supposed to be paid. Why? Because they're in China. If they were here, it would be illegal to pay that amount. It's just, it would be illegal. That's why they don't do it. That's why they can stack their pockets. You want bigger wages? Give more Americans jobs that the big guys depend on them. China. How low is AMD going? AMD had a lot of space to go down. AMD had a lot of space to go down, I believe, on the weekly scale. Actually, right here. So AMD just hit a critical level. It can go lower. It can go 3 to 5 points lower, and then that's where it would get really scary. And you don't have any signs of turning around. Well, what do you guys call AMD? If this double bottoms, that would be insane. That would be insane. But advanced money destroyer, right? That's why I just don't trade AMD anymore. I won't do it. I'll still give that info out on Patreon because I know people pay attention to it. It's just not something I've enjoyed trading in 2024 at all. So I don't touch it. I've actually been looking more towards like maybe Broadcom. I've been looking at this a little bit. I really like the hourly look so far, right? This can continue for some time, but we see the divergence still holding as of right now on the 30-minute. All those divergences here, still holding over here. If this is a tapering moment, that'd be insane. So that 30-minute can whip back up. I might be making a decision here, right? Do something else because I think semiconductors are going to be huge. And AVGO has a little bit of exposure here in the States, which is good. It means they will have to react in some way. If they want to continue. Can they continue? Do they have the ability to do that? That's the thing too. If they want to do it in the long term, they might have to stop paying people ridiculous amounts, a lot of these companies. Not talking about Broadcom specifically. We are going to stay live for just a little bit longer, guys, okay? We got another bit of time here. I'm going to try to go a little bit longer. The chat needs to update. Hold on one sec. Well, that's the thing, Embrew, and people are just like always. People want it now. People want it now. People want it now. The only reason that I'm able to see the tariffs, I think, in a very good way is because of my daughter. I think if I didn't have my daughter, I would have the same mentality as everyone else right now. I'd be like, man, these tariffs are really, really rough for the short term. I'd be like, they're terrible. But my daughter's making me look at it in a way that's different. That's like, hey, even if this took 10 years to fully play out and then we're in a good spot, I think it would be a good thing for her if it happened over the next 10 years. Doesn't mean that, these companies aren't going to be able to probably produce big amounts of profits anymore. That's for sure. Why? Well, because they're going to have to invest. They're going to have to build production in the States. They're going to have to pay more for wages. So those type of things can really cause those profits to come down. But we were talking about the growing too fast. I think we grow too fast and it causes a lot of humanitarian harm. I've thought that for a long time now. But that's how I see it. If we do not see production pick up, that is completely wrong. But I care about children. I know it's weird. I care about my child way more than myself. Like that's the only thing. And I'm sure every parent out there in the chat can agree. You care about your child more than yourself. Think of it from their future's lens and the direction we're going right now compared to what it could be with this. If we keep on this path that we were on before tariffs, well then what? Is she paying $100 for a cheeseburger in 20 years? Or can we do something different? Can we at least get those wages? And is she going to struggle to buy a hamburger at $100, right? Are we going to keep inflating and keep inflating and keep inflating? Or are we going to actually show production that proves like, hey, it's not inflating for a bad reason. Wages are increasing. This is increasing. This is increasing. What happens when Trump is gone? Do tariffs go away? That's a very good question. These things take a lot of time. I think that's why you're hearing people say third terms. Yeah, I think doing it all at once is sudden, but I think he understands. I really think doing all of them at the same time is crazy. But one causes less confusion throughout the entire year. Now you know everything right now. You have the truth. That's what he did. Right? Now we have to see if things change, if deals are made and that kind of thing. But getting them all at once is crazy to do. But I think you're doing it because of what we just mentioned from Gmail guy. It's going to take time. So that's why you're probably hearing third term. I'm not a fan of third term. I voted for Trump, and I don't think we should be putting in that precedent. I would like someone younger to come in to really steer us in this direction if that's possible. I just don't want us to move back to what we had for the last 4 years. I just think it was on a path that was very, very dangerous for the average American. And a lot of people don't realize that. So, and I totally understand if you have a different take than me. I'm not attacking you. I don't care. I think how I think, you can think how you think. Tyler, exactly. But third term, I don't really like. I mean, I think it's possible, but I just don't think so. I just don't want it. I really don't. And I'm genuine about I just don't. I do not want to see another crumbling old man in the later stages of their life start to work, right? Whether you like it or not, Trump's old. He's very functional. He's very good. Like, but if a turn happens at those ages, turns can happen very quickly, right? I thought Biden, his turn was relatively quick, actually. You know, from like what, a matter of like 4 years, it was like totally different. I got to get him water. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if we can find some data points or something. There's an emergency rate meeting on the CNBC. Holy crap, the rates are going to be cut. What if they get cut right now and people celebrate the rate cut? Oh my gosh. I didn't no idea. That'd be crazy, Mr. Pickle. This would cause that, by the way, save the economy type of thing. Because it's going to take time. So they're probably going to do stuff like that. He might force the Fed's hand here. Let's look. Fed rate. Let's see. Oh, fucking damn it. Fucking pop-ups. God. Okay, there we go. Rate cut bets are soaring as traders see rising recession odds. Oh, oh. Let's see. Let's see. Any post by Federal Reserve? No. I tried to look at news stories, but there's not too many good ones. It's a lot of people calling for a emergency rate cut. Wharton's professor Jeremy Siegel calls for a 0.75% emergency rate cut by the Fed. A lot of people calling for emergency rate cuts online now. I did find some news articles about them, but they're going to say the same thing everyone's saying. Okay, let's see if we have... That was actually an old one. Let's see new. Breaking prediction markets now see 3 interest rate cuts in 2025 for a total of 75 basis points per call sheet. As recession odds rise, markets think the Fed will be forced to cut rates as soon as next month. Emergency rate cuts? Those always end well. That's a great comment on there by that person. Yeah, rate cuts will be insane if that actually would happen, and you're seeing it get kind of priced in, I think, now. So you're seeing that flying. Ooh, stuff's about to get spicy. Jerome Powell talks on Friday. I don't know what he talks at. What does Jerome Powell talk at on Friday? I should just look at the calendar. Friday. Speech, Governor Michael. It doesn't even have it on here. Okay, speech, Fed Chair Powell, economic outlook, at the Society for Advancing Business Editing and Writing annual conference in Arlington, Virginia. That is at 11:25 Eastern Time, 10:25 my time, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, 10:25 my time. What exactly are the negatives of a rate cut? It's a big signal that they're reacting because a recession is pretty much it's a thing you see a lot of the time before a recession hits, and people celebrate it first. So if we see a celebration of the rate cut and then we go make a topping signal again, that's where you really want to watch out. Yeah. Inflation may go up if you cut rates. Yeah. Plus the short-term tariff inflation. Except the markets would go insane on a rate cut. And we have a signal that looks pretty insane right now. Well, look, there's a lot of people online calling for it. We'll see if it actually happens, right? Doesn't have to happen. Nike. Oh shoot. Nike. That Nike was in trouble and it was in a good buy zone. Damn. Nike never curled up that daily, huh? What about that weekly chart now? It's not losing everything, but this is getting Nike's going to have to make some moves fast. That's why I bought some Adidas shoes yesterday, but I'm sure Adidas is in the same scenario of just producing things overseas. I wonder if we could look, actually. Well, of course I can look. Of course I can find stuff. But it looks like Nike's going to be a struggle. Apple's going to be a struggle. So they have to react quickly. Those companies probably have to react pretty quickly. Why buy the dip is trending? Buy the dip is trending. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Did my stream freeze? I can't see chat. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry, this stream was like lagging there for a sec. Ooh, Samson. That Nike stock looks like my portfolio. Unlucky, unlucky. Stay in the game. Don't mean to giggle. Sometimes I laugh when I'm there. I laugh all the time. Bear market's greatest opportunity for day traders. Day traders? Yeah, day traders love volatility. You love big swings. Yeah. Day traders can literally see a 30-minute confirm up, go to a daily expected move, sell that move, short it, see it go revert back to the middle of a daily expected move, and make money both ways twice within every single day. So day traders like when volatility is high. That's why I like when volatility is high, even as a position guy, because I do the same thing a day trader would, just on a bigger scale during bear markets, right? And that's where the course really comes in handy, because weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves, they help you so much in a bear market, man. It's just insane. It's insane how much it helped me. Like, everything changed. Palantir. I don't think we've looked at Palantir today. Wow. All right. Okay, Palantir. I tell you, we did not want Palantir to gap below here, so that's actually very good. That's still by the center line. 30-minute crosses up. It can be a good thing. 2-hour didn't even cross down. That's kind of crazy. Daily is still crossed down. You want that to resolve, but 30-minute just curls up here. Holy crap. Good things can happen. 5-minute even looks like it's in pullback mode. Ooh, nope, not in pullback mode, because this was a big drop. So you still might have more work to be done here. If that 30-minute curls up at any time, hey, you could potentially take out that high, go make a new one, as long as you stay close to that center line. Not too crazy there for Palantir, actually. Very surprised because IWM, but I prefer to buy high and sell low, my friend. Tony, you're a great teacher, and I will be taking the class. Awesome, man. Grab it and let me know what you think. Make sure that you come back to the live show if you do take the course, since it's on that 80% sale. I get you. It's down there in the description, full technical analysis. I get it. But still, make sure it is right for you. Make sure it is something that maybe you've watched the YouTube channel for a while, right? Don't want you to waste money if it's not going to be helpful for you. A lot of people see it as helpful. I just like to say that because I respect people's money. At the same time, Tony, come back to the live show if you ever have any questions, okay? Because a lot of people have questions all the time, and if you ask, we can maybe, handle someone who's a little bit shy. Maybe they're a little shy. And Rumble, I'm Master Freak. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, join us on Rumble. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad that you guys are showing up there. It's been a lot of fun over there. It's just kind of lackluster at the end of the day lately, right? We're just waiting for that 5-minute move at the end of the day. Oh, did you have a monthly for XLF? Financials are going to be very important here. Financials are going to be really important. See that curling down? Financials need to hold up, right? But financials need to hold up. It's going to be very difficult to say, oh yeah, we're going to go to new all-time highs if financials start to go down dramatically. Right now, we have the first crossing over of the MACD. This is potentially, right, something pretty bad, right? It looks really bad. Normally, I would not be doing some kind of play because the daily MACD is crossed. But in this scenario, things are different. I'm building a position, building that position for longer out. We're almost completely built. Little chunk left in case we get some of this going on. Semis are not even including the tariffs. I gotta look a little deeper then. Do you see bonds rallying? Well, I mean, if you're going, they broke out, you know that, but they also have reversal signals right now. You have this, right? We'll see. Do we see something in the opposite way for the 10-year? But if they do a emergency rate cut all of a sudden or something like that, that would just say, oh, the yields probably go down, right? And TLT probably goes up. We've seen opposite reactions before, right? The Fed doesn't have as much control as you think. So you've seen that's when they cut in September, what happened? I think it was here, maybe it was here. Yeah, September, when they cut rates again in September, bam, we actually went up. So something to pay attention to here is that you have daily divergence. So weirdly enough, the signals are saying up, but we'll have to see the reaction to a rate cut. If that even happens, right? That's very speculative, guys. That's very speculative right now. We have no even slight confirmation of that, but your signals are suggesting that TLT could drop here on the 2-hour chart if that 30-minute crosses. YM1 moving up, baby. Yeah, Taiwan's a big one to look at. Oh God, SMH looks horrible on the weekly. These weekly charts look bad. That's why I think you want to buy up before Friday. The weekly charts look really bad. And then you go into a weekly chart, though, for something like this, you just go, man, that looks awful. Like, wow, that looks terrible. That looks like it's beaming right to here. If we close below these last two little points here, it's like, damn, we are pretty much going to 173 still. So you really want to see this thing bought up by the end of the week. It'll be very difficult, or fool around down here and then just boom on Monday. We've seen very big moves on Monday. Volatility is still scaling up on that 30-minute, right? So the 5-minute not really giving you that good hint, right? We just violated it. That's why I don't like 5-minute charts as much, right? We were like, it looks like it could be a tipping point. It's just because, what's his name? Whoever said the 1030 thing or whatever. I was like, yeah, we're going to look at volatility and see if you can catch a bounce there. So yeah, so you might look at it from an investment perspective. Everyone sees it differently. Look at Dawson. He's like, looks like a great buying opportunity, right? People see it differently. Seems our Amazon is holding the 30-minute RSI and MACD. It is. Yeah, Jonna, this was part of the plan. It's more aggressive, but this was the more aggressive thing. But this has a very high probability still, as you're seeing some kind of bounce at the weekly expected move, to be some kind of just correction resolving itself. You could still head lower, right? You could see that flash down by like, I don't know, what, well, you're already at 4, another percent or two. And then that'll get people really going, oh my God, a 6% down day in one day. But we just care if that holds. And right now, it's holding. We'll see. Fool around down here for a while, though. Lunchtime, got to close those puts, you know. You got to close them down. Some of those day traders. Bet that PCC came down a little bit, huh? Day traders might be risk to rewarding some upside here, because I bet some of them have weekly expected moves too, or understand that this is a very, very key level. To get a bounce from here makes a ton of sense. Now, it's more seeing something like this would be rough if that just never curled back up. See, in this scenario, the 30-minute was able to curl back up, but that would be rough. So that's more so what you would see if we continue down. This is kind of a cool look, actually. You really go like this. You kind of go like, it's actually a cool look. I kind of missed that. Sorry about that, guys. We were just so focused on like, going down there. That's one of the scenarios. That was the, if someone was really worried about crash, this is the way to really make them think it's going to happen. And they're justified. It could, but from these levels, you could get extreme bounces, and then you'd look for those to fail, in my opinion. Is this a major bottom? This has signals that suggest this could be a major bottom soon. You might have more time here, but if you look at a daily chart, you're seeing daily divergence across the board on a lot of things. Now, some things are violating those, and you want to pay attention to those, right? But NVIDIA is giving you a great 30-minute divergence here. The daily scale has divergence there. So if you start to snap back all of a sudden, just be watching, right? What if unemployment tomorrow comes in pretty low? That would be wild. I really don't see that coming in lower, but man, that would be surprising. Or what if we get rate cut and people celebrate that, right? They just get addicted to, oh, rates are coming down. That means growth. But yeah, this is going to cause a lot of, I would say, potential revenue problems for companies over time, because they're going to have to invest in the United States, which is a good thing long term, but short term, the profits of these companies could be lower, right? So we might price in a lot of things, see some kind of recession. Then if all that production goes well, that would be a great thing. I really do think it's very dependent on that. I'm going to keep saying it. 90 likes in the chat. Thank you so much. Let's see if 10 more people wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button just real quick to get us to 100. We like triple digits. Warren Buffett, why is he? Warren Buffett watching the stock market collapse while he's holding 300 billion in T-bills. Warren Buffett spent years stockpiling cash for a market crash. Now he's just sitting on his mountain of money, waiting to buy your panic at a discount. Well, this isn't a crash. Just be aware, this is not a crash yet. You know, these things happen. These things do happen. It's starting to escalate a little bit, but really think about it. The low there, about 12%. People wouldn't even say really bear market about that too much yet. They might be saying, hey, we're on the verge, but sorry, that was random stuff from Twitter though. All right, let's go back over to chat for a little bit. Trying to go just a little bit longer here today. I'm gonna let you guys know this 30-minute confirms up in the futures. Because if you look at the futures, that 30-minute does have divergence. I don't really trust 30-minute divergence over here. I would just like the 2-hour to move up. And that's why I'm paying attention to this right now. Because that is something I utilize in regular trading hours. But Yeah, this is the main thing. 2-hour signal on the SPX 500. These things can fail, so always have that plan for if it goes wrong. But that's a decent looking 2-hour chart there for the S&P 500, and it looks very similar to the 30-minute, say, for the SPY. What do I think Tesla's going to do by next year? I think there's a lot that it could do by next year. I think that Tesla could go make a new all-time high before the year is over, and then I think Tesla could put in a major top by the time the year is over. So there's a lot that could go on. Yeah, 540 is a key level. You are correct. But that's just what I think. It doesn't matter what I think, right? Everyone asks me stuff like that, and I'm always hesitant to do it because you guys think like, oh, if I think that, it has to happen, or it's really high probability. I think there's a good scenario for it to happen. I think you still have trouble going on right now. I think Tesla is holding up relatively well for what we're going through here. I think the 30 minutes still positive in the short term. I think the daily overall is showing I'm trying to make that higher low. So if this can get up, I would, my target still for this kind of move is that 328.50 for Tesla. But Tesla has that production in the United States. So Tesla can do really well in the short term, like right away with potential tariffs. They have a lot of production here. Get that right there. Super stoked you started doing it. Hey, thanks, Samson. I'm glad. Yeah, we kind of talk about some different stuff over there sometimes. It's just been boring to it. Hopefully it's not boring at the end of the day. It's just been kind of like dry up until that last 5 minutes, which is kind of lame, right? We're seeing a slight shift, right? The PCC starting to drop down just a little bit. What are people? I'm going to go look at put levels for next week. I want to see what people did for next week. 11. 540. Your put call ratio for next Friday is 3.81. Let's look at the big date. That would be the 17th. For the 17th, you have 3.4 million, not as much as last month, but we're still at the beginning. 2.17 put to call ratio. Puts everywhere all the way up until the only point that it's overtaken my calls is 580. A lot of liquidity built here. So if the first move is not the real move, you might see a big snap, like you're pulling a slingshot, right? This is you pulling that slingshot back aggressively. Let's see if it can snap. That would be the V shape, right? Doesn't that look kind of like a V? If you're going to spend some time down here, we'll look for more basing out type stuff, right? Like this, but a little tighter probably. Because this is the same area you made it last time. So you literally can go up to that 5, go back down, cut that low, then curl up again, all by Friday. And then you can see everyone get bearish in the future and then see something big on Monday, right? Someone announces something over there. You can, right? We got to make sure things are confirmed, though. Alrighty, that looks pretty cool. Markets are closed April 18th. OPEX is on a Thursday. Yeah, that's kind of fishy. Exactly, Tony. Yeah, we're kind of looking for at least the CPC or PCC to remain slightly elevated, if not neutral to the bear side on the first few upticks. If we're going to squeeze, right? If this is a trap, that's important, right? We don't want to take out the consideration that this could get really bad, and I'm really trying not to because I'm definitely leaning in the upward direction, but I want to do it justice. It's still kind of a up and down risk to reward type of play for me, but yeah, it's very comfortable where I'm at. But for the time being, I understand there's risks here. We just have too good of a signal. We actually discussed we actually put that video out on Patreon, but really you can see, or on in the course, the full technical analysis course, you can see here the 5-day is you just have to go to indicator and type SMA, right? SMA, click on moving average simple, okay, and then you just go into the settings and you make sure that this is changed to 1 day because it'll come as at the top there chart. So you want to put that on 1 day. And then you can put, I actually took off the wait for the time frame close. So it will adjust kind of in real time. But yeah. And if you need to rewind and watch that a couple times just to get it on your chart, hey, perfect, fine with that, right? Rajiv is leaning bearish. What does that mean? You're comment about the PCC. Well, people are really betting stock market crash right now. Now, they're not, I don't think they're completely overdoing it. You know, 1.2 is something to pay attention to. 1.1 and now at 1.08 pretty much. It is something to pay attention to. It is what you would want to see for a contrarian indication at a bottom side weekly expected move for a bounce. But we need to kind of see that sentiment kind of continue, right? Either that or everyone starts to celebrate something bullish at the same time. And people still try to short it because the people who are behind and keep trying to buy those short positions on the way up, that's what feeds a short squeeze. Yeah, so it builds liquidity, and if a buy comes in and they're wrong, it can really make them wrong really fast. And then they close those positions, and once they close those positions, they could potentially even buy back in, and that's just going to fuel more and more. But we haven't seen that happen yet, right? We haven't seen those type of moments happen yet, but these are signals you see when that does happen. So that's why I'm saying, yes, this could be a crash, but it looks very, very corrective right now. So I'm not going to give up on it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. So there's a way to read into this. As of right now, as the most recent data available up to April 3rd, 2025, the European Union imports a significant amount from the United States, reflecting their deep economic ties. Here's the breakdown based on the latest figures. I'm going to go through those probably, but I won't go through them right now. I'll probably read them in a second to myself when I hop off stream. But what we need to understand from just that statement alone is they have a lot of exposure and import things from the United States at very, very low zero rates a lot of the time. At very, very low import rates. Okay, cool. So if they do that, why do they do that? Do they do that because it's just nice? Oh, they can get stuff cheaper because they were able to get stuff cheaper or get stuff with no tariff on it for years and years and years? Do you think they did production themselves on some of those items at a grand scale? Because if they didn't and they still need those products, they will still have to buy those products and pay the tariff, right? It can play out in many different ways. They could say, no, we're going to get it from someone else, and it could be bad for the United States. That's all the type of things that could happen. But you gotta give it time. You know, people look for answers to something that's going to take years. People look for answers right now. That's the kind of society we're in. We're in the TikTok, 15-second clip society right now. It's fine. It's just this is something that'll take time. So I would say this, though, they import a lot from the United States, but they imported it at low, low rates. Now that it's a higher rate, do they have the ability to switch to someone else? Do they have the ability to make it themselves at home at that rate, that the amount that they needed to continue to consume over there, right? Those are the type of things that need to be figured out. What does the US even export money? Yeah, pretty much. Well, if you have a 0% rate, you probably export a lot. You don't make any money really off it. You just make the margin. Yeah, exactly, King. Give it time. SPY stay in this range the rest of the day. You have a 68% chance to close above this red line by the end of the day. So 548.50 pretty much. 68% chance to close above that by the end of the day. Now, a lot of the time we look for signals outside of the weekly, so we kind of do know like this is very possible. All right, we can still see that rip around. And mainly that's just like showing off the Bollinger Bands on the 30-minute. We're going to do that again just because you see the expansion happening. So a lot of the time you're going to see this. This will start to come in, then you'll see it kind of flag out, maybe fail, and then this will come in, spread out, and then you'll kind of do some kind of lip here so it comes down even more. And then this will be doing kind of the opposite, right? And then it'll get like that. And then you'll see boom or bust. That's kind of how it takes place. The only other thing that can happen from this is like a V-shape. So some news that really causes some big bullishness that can take place. A big buy, just a big buy could potentially put people in a bad spot. Oh, wait, I don't want that off technically. There we go. So we'll see by the end of the day. I'm sure day traders. Yeah, see, like you at least will probably see this. You probably will at least see something like this. At least. You know, if you're gonna V-shape, you usually see something little. Especially with a look like this. Like back in the time in August, that was a lot different, but we saw it on NVIDIA. Exactly, Oakland. That's what I'm saying. I think you need news, but I'm very still very optimistic. I'll put it that way. What's the Dow doing? At the lows. So see, the Dow would be a good thing to watch because it's at those lows, filling the gap. If you see like wham, and then it curls down again, well, that would be an issue. Kind of had that right here. Bam, bam, bam. I really should have marked off those head and shoulders. I'm seeing them now, and that sucks because usually I see them before it happens. This one was right shoulder that could have been type of vibe. So I'm okay with missing that one. Those ones can be hard to see sometimes, but the Dow Jones one was pretty much there. Major support. Okay. Is that American? Yeah, okay, American Airlines. American Airlines doing similar things to everything else. A failed 30-minute signal here, first of all. Let's look at a daily chart, though. If you look at the daily, it's down, 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 down. If this would randomly just turn up, all of a sudden, you got to break through something like $12. But this is really low levels, guys. Like, you're talking about the lows of 2020. You're talking about the lows of 2024 for American Airlines. This is an area where investors will start to make decisions. And that's just the truth of it. Investors will start to look into these levels, and that would be a good thing. But you're just looking for this, really. Can we get back above that 9? And then can we get through $12? Once you can get through $12, I think you're pretty set to test something higher up, maybe like a 1450 type thing. But we'll have to see with that one. As of right now, this looks like better for the investment type of perspective because you see that selling. That's just not something that has weakness and momentum. It ramped up. Yeah, you got a bounce. So now you have a little bit of weakness, but it's like an option to go like this all of a sudden. Yeah, it can happen, but I'm more so be like, oh, okay, build good structure, build another good structure, retest breakout or something like that, then build good structure over time. These are kind of investment type levels if you really just look across. Now let's look at a, and then you can go deeper though. So that's why it's like, this would be where potentially investors start to pay attention, I would say, like really start to pay attention. But got to see. I don't think it has the best signals or anything like that. So unfortunate. NVIDIA is just daily divergence pretty much, and 30-minute divergence is there. So pretty simple. 30-minute divergence there, 2-hour divergence at the same time. It's kind of just like over here, right? 30-minute divergence here, 2-hour divergence at the same time. Boom. 30-minute divergence there, 2-hour divergence at the same time. Boom. If that happens, that'd be a good thing. Risk to reward is starting for the week to look up, but we're not at that 100 level. Yeah, I really wanted to see 100 tagged here, but we'll see. If it holds up better, that's not a bad thing, right? If we don't reach lower, that's not a bad thing. Not full day, Remy. Okay, not full day. I'm hopping off in about 6 minutes. I just wanted to give you guys a good amount of time. Wanted to give you guys a good amount of time today and then encourage you, come join us on Rumble. We'll be on later today. Around an hour and I think I'll be on an hour and 15 minutes before the close actually happens. So we're going to look at the close together and see if anything's changed. Markets are exactly, and that's why I wanted to be here with you guys to at least do, if the worst case scenario, just to be a level head, right? And I don't see anyone really losing their crap out there. So I think that's great. That's a great sign that we're available for if things turn in a different direction. Like I said, this could take a lot of time down here. We could remain down here all the way until Friday close. If your stress fear is good, yeah, kind of. So stressful. Right after David says that, Jonna. Well, and also, if it's so stressful, it's how much money am I risking at a very, very speculative time? Am I like, be honest with yourself? Are you trying to make $1 million in the crash? You know, that's what you got to be saying. It's like, it's just, you know, survivability is a big thing. And when you make one big bet and you're wrong, it's just everything is on that big bet. That's why my exposure here is very little, but scaling in slowly. And if I would lose it all, it would not affect anything, right? Something very bad is when people take their rent money and try to go do something with like crypto. I just need 3.2 million to retire. Drop already happened. It's bullish now. That's how I see it, David. I want to make sure to talk clearly. I don't want my own any kind of bias to leak in. So I'm going to continue to say I am positioned for the upside. I have managed that position, right? That size. So I'm not risking enough to really collapse me and hurt my family, right? But I have enough in it that I can make a nice little pretty penny if we end in the upward direction. And I think that's what we're going to do. But I see how people could understand a crash can happen. So I'm going to be very aware of how a crash could happen here. The way a crash happens is we get outside of the monthly expected move and we don't make any kind of reversal signals. That's when crashes happen. Or you create the reversal signal, it crosses and just fails, and then all of that energy is distributed down. Right now, we have a reversal signal for the 30-minute chart. It doesn't look the best. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very spread out. It's very, very spread out. You have the MACD kind of flat, slightly up. You have the RSI down here. That is up, right? That looks good. That's what's really nice is the RSI. But you could have a lot of time here because in this area, at these levels for the MACD, look at that line going across. We're at the same levels of right here. So you could go through all like something like that or something like this again. You react up to the 5, reject. All that could happen again. Isn't that crazy? Netflix is green. Yeah, I need to put Netflix back on my list. Man. Hey man, but this is a crash, man. Okay, stop it. That is not a higher low. Stop it. Stop saying these things, YS. God. Tina, it's your dinner. It's 60K on Apple puts. Oh yeah. Congratulations, David. Nice job. Need to be able to feed the country. Everything here made in China. Everything. Exactly. Yeah, you're pointing out the problem, and a problem that we're in will take time to get through. A problem takes time, even with a solution. But people want solutions now. They want it now. They want it now. So that's why people price in things. They just hear something's going to happen and they buy stocks. If you really wanted to talk about when to actually, like, if it wanted to behave correctly, if everyone was behaving correctly, you'd be like, sure, you said you're going to make a manufacturing facility here, but you could be totally lying to me just to make your stock pump. But most likely, this stock pump would be good for these companies. A big upward move would be very good for these companies that need to make production facilities. They could dilute, they could split, they could do all kinds of things. They could sell in some way. They could really get funding in that kind of way, right? They could use their evaluation to get loans, and if the rates are lower, they could, potentially get those loans at a lower rate. Yeah, good for you, Dave. Made 10K on Apple Boost, bought at 3:50 p.m. yesterday. Nice job, Monty. Yeah, say if you're right today, that's great. I think you maybe just read into tariffs. Like, hey, if he even just does a tariff, people are going to be negative on it. What if he just did a flat 10% across the board? Do you still think we would have got this reaction? I do. I do. I think a lot of people probably betting huge numbers. Right? I'm managed. I'm good. I'm not going to get hurt. But I bet people betting big numbers up here were saying he's not going to do it. He's not going to do the thing that he's talked about for like a year. That's true, Peter. Way to look at the green side. Way to look at the positive side. Did you end up managing your spy calls? Spy calls got managed, yes. Spy calls got managed. I wanted to focus more on Amazon, and then I'm still looking at NVIDIA and AVGO. Because Amazon's starting to turn into a decent sized position. So still looking at NVIDIA and AVGO right now. I'm very bullish on NVIDIA. That's good. Don't be too bullish, right? But if this curls up, it makes total sense, Fire S. Weird part. Well, that's the thing. Did he actually catch people off guard, or is this a trap? Is this all market maker? Trying to get that fear, right? This is how the media is utilized and things like that to really have you go like, tariffs are a horrible thing. Oh my God, he's going to do reciprocal, so he's going to tariff China X%, 100%, 90%, 60%, whatever. It's 34. According to the graph that he showed, hey, doesn't look that bad. That's good, Monty. Hey, either way, take a good win, I like it. I mean, they're buying Amazon and Tesla. And Amazon potentially might even have TikTok. Imagine Amazon. Oh my God. Imagine an Amazon store in TikTok. Like creators can put their Amazon items in the store. They probably can do that already, maybe, but I don't know. I haven't been on TikTok since like years ago. What about Google? Google scares me. I haven't researched into Google, but Google was the scary look, I would say, wherever the heck it is. But for the timing, this was scary. This might even be double bottom. I know it's crazy. 2 hour, this might be rejection divergence. I mean, yeah, I have it on the RSI. Now, you still might have more time. Look at this. We did it a lot. You still might have that time to keep doing that for a bit. And then the daily scale, you're going, oh, it's holding the divergence. So Google looks fine. Google looks fine. And I think we're going to look back 2 months from now probably and be like, wow, Google's getting through 182.59. I think that's definitely possible. That's what I think is going to happen. Doesn't mean if it starts to be like, oh yeah, that's going to happen, and then it just turns back down, that I'm going to keep believing that's going to happen, right? So daily crosses up here, everything's good. You have divergence, but you have a long way to get to that center line. So you have to be aware if that's starting to maybe give you a 2 hour divergence, that then just fails. So yeah, there's a lot with that one, but I just like the 30-minute. I don't think that's bad. That looks like an extremely big divergence there for Google, which means a 2 hour move is likely. 2 hour has the divergence there. You can even see from the main point way back here, it's actually holding that divergence point. Now, I'm not going to read into that too much, but that's how you see the daily divergence that's there between these levels on the 2 hour. So a lot going on there. All right, I'm 4 minutes over, so I got to go. I got to go take care of mama and girl. All right, guys, I do have to hop off. I really appreciate you guys showing up. I think people had a pretty good mentality today. I mean, I don't think we saw anyone just popping off and doing those kind of. I saw some comments and I got some emails, so I was really worried about today. I genuinely was like, man, it made me like, if people are going to be crazy, I don't even want to stream. Like, if people aren't taking into consideration both scenarios, the bullish and the bearish, and the fact that we were kind of reading into this, it kind of made me like, ugh, didn't want to do it. So you guys did make my morning really, really good. I'm glad that you guys are keeping a level head. I tried to put out some information last night with low time. So I'm trying to do my part, and you guys are showing up to the channel and liking these videos and contributing to chat. You're doing your part too. So now do your part with trading. Make sure you had a plan for this scenario. Make sure you still have your plan as of right now. And then you have to see, hey, is this where my plan is being violated? Is this where I need to wait for more time? Is this where I need to see more data? And really be thinking through those steps if this caught you off guard in some way. Because we saw this coming, and we're open to it, right? If you're open to it, you can make a plan around it, and that's the good part. I am surprised we got down to the weekly expected move, though. I thought 545 would be there, and then the Qs would go down to their weekly. But it seems both needed to touch their weekly. We need to see if we create reversal signals here at the low as well, right? A little bit tighter. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. I will see you on Rumble for the closing stream about an hour and 15 minutes before the close. We will be live. If you want to join us over there, the link is in the description. So come join us, all right? Have a great day. Peace out, Girl Scouts.